In the view sections, we have started the series of Manthan. And every month we are having two seminars, at least two seminars under the. Yeah. ये तो अभी आ रही है हाँ. So every month we are having at least two seminars under Manthan, and for last one year we have started from the April onwards, and we have annual membership also, and this is the first organization in the Kolkata region that we are having so much attendance in our every seminar. We have conducted seminar at Kala Mandir for 2 consecutive days in the month of December. In the month of January also we have conducted 2 consecutive seminars at Mahajati Sadan. Thereafter in the month of February also we have 2 seminars at Mahajati Sadan. Now we have the seminar today and as well as in the next week at the same venue at Ayakar Bhavan. We have this seminar only for the income tax purpose, and we will be covering 43B and recent changes in Income Tax Act. First of all, I invite S.S. Gupta ji on the dais, and I request Nitish Mor ji to escort him on the dais. I also invite Mohit Bhutoria ji, and I request Nitish Mor ji to escort him on the dais. अब आप सभी से एक बार रिक्वेस्ट है कि अपनी जगह पर खड़े हो जाएं ताकि हम अपना ICI मोतो सॉन्ग चालू कर लें.
य एष सुप्तेषु जाग्रति य एष सुप्तेषु जाग्रति कामं 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 कामपुरुषो पुरुषो निर्विमाणः निर्विमाणः तदेव शुक्रं तद्ब्रह्मा तद्ब्रह्मा तदेवामृतमुच्यते तस्मिन् लोकः शतः सर्वे तदूनात्यपि कश्चन एतद्वैता 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 एतद्वैता.
Thank you. Now I request Kilzarira. I request Kilzarira Sharma ji to present the memento to S.S. Gupta ji and welcome him. Okay. Now I request to present memento to Mohit Bhutoria ji and welcome him. Now I request Nitish Mor ji to provide his welcome address.
Thank you, Vinay ji. Very, very good afternoon, everyone. I welcome you on behalf of Views Exchange to this 21st seminar, that is series of Manthan. The word Manthan, where we had taken it from Vishnu Puran, and we all know that there was a Sagar Manthan, and what comes out of Sagar Manthan, that was the Amrit. So we have the speakers who are like Devtas. They had did the Manthans, and they had brought the knowledge rupee Amrit for all of us. आपको केवल यहाँ रहना है और रसपान करना है, एंड दैट विल सपोर्ट यू इन योर discharging your duties. So request you, the basic purpose of this type of seminar is to update our members. So stay till the end so that you can enjoy the Amrit Rupi Manthan which the chairman and the speakers are going to you. Regarding, this is my humble request to everyone. What we are doing, if you are attending partly or not attending the seminars, probably हम लोग अपने पैर पे खुद कुल्हाड़ी मार रहे हैं, क्योंकि जब तक हम अपना ड्यूटी ठीक से डिस्चार्ज नहीं कर सकते तब तक जो पास्ट नॉलेज है दैट इज नॉट नॉलेज, दैट इज नॉट नॉलेज. Knowledge is what is updated. So if you want to update it, you have to stay. If you don't want, you want your client to go somewhere else, it is in your hand. So request everybody to kindly stay till end. This is my humble request. Second, regarding the profession, maybe the government thinks that as if we have to work. The expectation of the government is we have to work as if we are their inspector. But while appointment and the fees, we are probably in the hands of those whom the government thinks that we are culprits. So this system should be changed, that the mindset of the government should be changed, mindset of the regulators should be changed. So this is, if what can be the system? So what can be the system? The system can be if we take the help of the AI, and maybe RBI is appointing the bank audit, maybe SEBI is appointing the listed audit, listed company audit. Like CAG, we can have other appointment authority who is appointing, because this, with the help of AI, with the help of technology, this is possible. And if we dream today, किसी ने ड्रीम देखा था कि हमें चंद्रमा पे जाना है, तभी हम चंद्रमा पे पहुंच गए. आज इंडिया ने देखा है ड्रीम कि हम सूर्य पे पहुंचेंगे, तो एक दिन वहां भी पहुंचेंगे. सो विद दिस रिक्वेस्ट, थैंक यू एवरीवन.
Now to cut short the time, which is already very short for the topic, we have the session chairman Mohit Futuria ji. So I am handing over the proceeding to Mr. Futuria ji. Please.
Very good afternoon to all of you. Convener Mr. Nitish Moore, Deputy Convener Mr. Binay Singhania, esteemed guest speaker and senior counsel Gupta ji, friends. It's a very matter of great pride and privilege for me to chair a session where none other than Mr. S.S. Gupta, a very senior eminent counsel, would be deliberating on the provisions of section 43B relating to MSME. So I'll not like to take much of his time, but just like to give some opening remarks and a history relating to MSME, which affects auditors, tax auditors, company as well. So companies were not paying to small enterprises in time, which led to the introduction of the MSME Act, Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Act, in the year 2006 by the government, providing specific timelines for entities to pay to these units. So there is a timeline, outer timeline of 45 days within which you have to pay to the micro and small enterprises. There are three categories: micro, small and medium. We are only confining our discussion today to micro and small enterprises for the reason that medium enterprises do not get much benefits. I would say much benefits under the Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Act as well as 43B. They are not covered under 43B. So government said the outer time limit is 45 days irrespective of whatever is your contractual period. But if your contractual period is say 30 days, 45 days, 20 days, that is the time within which you are required to make payment to micro and small enterprises. Failing to make the payment, if there is no agreement, then you have to make payment within 15 days. If the agreement is for 7 days, you are required to make payment within 7 days. Failing which, you are liable to pay 3 times the bank rate, the SBI rate. So that comes to around 20%. But perhaps that was not enough. Companies were not paying. So the onus was then on the auditors. Amendment was made to Schedule 3. Earlier we had Schedule 6, and not only Schedule 3, even the corresponding Indias, there is amendment that on the face of the balance sheet you are required to state the amount which is due to micro and small enterprises. Perhaps that was also not sufficient. Maybe payment was not made, or auditors were also not making disclosures, because as auditors what we are supposed to do, we are to find out accurately from the company who are the micro and small enterprises to which the company owes sums, and accordingly disclosures are to be made in the balance sheet. And for the purpose, we have to resort to even SA 505 external confirmations. The same manner we do for Sunday debtors confirmations, bank confirmation, we have also to seek confirmations from these MSME. So perhaps that was also not sufficient. Therefore, government also came out with amendment to Schedule 3, where you are required to give a tabular presentation of age analysis of the creditors. So this was very interesting, because they said what is the amount not due, what is the amount due within less than 1 year, MSME, non-MSME. And again, you are required to file even returns to MCA under the, for micro and small enterprises, whatever are dues which are outstanding to them beyond the contractual date. Perhaps that was also not sufficient, and that is why amendment was made to 43B, so as to directly penalize the companies, because now you have a monetary penalty. Earlier, neither the company was discharging the duties properly, perhaps the auditors were also not discharging the duties properly. So therefore, now it is something like a monetary penalty. You do not pay in time, amount is outstanding as at year end, you are liable to pay tax thereon. Okay, you will get the benefit in subsequent year when you make the payment. But I think this is more harsher than the other provisions of 43B. Like in case of employee contribution to PF, ESI, not paid, complete disallowance is there. In respect of other payments, you pay till the due date of return, you get a deduction in the year to which the expenditure relates. But as far as MSME is concerned, you do not pay within time, and this amount is outstanding as on 31st March, then if it is outstanding as on 31st March and it is beyond time, you do not get deduction on account of expenditure. You will get the deduction in subsequent year only when it is paid. Sir will make the provisions more clear to us. Lot of dispute, lot of controversies are there in relation to applicability, whether it applies to traders, whether it applies to service providers, whether it applies to medium enterprises. Of course, law says micro and small enterprises only, whether it applies to medium enterprises. What happens in case of enterprises who were micro and small but now have become medium enterprises but have not made amendment, corresponding amendment to their MSME certificate? Are they required to update data with the MSME portal every year to get the revised classification as to whether they are micro and small or medium enterprises? What happens if an enterprise maybe for a part of a year it is a micro or small, and maybe for the remaining part of the year is a medium enterprises? Or what happens to enterprises which although get classified by virtue of their turnover and investment as micro and small, but they have not sought registration with MSME? So number of controversies are there. I think there is also a difference of opinion maybe across fraternity, because what we have been discussing, sir, if something is outstanding as on 31st March, which is not due. So I purchased something on 1st of March, the payment term is 45 days. So as on 31st March, this is not due. This is due only in the month of April. Therefore, probably this should not be hit by section 43B this year, neither next year. It will be hit next year only. Say it will not be hit next year because next year expenditure will not be debited. Correct? So first year also it should not be probably hit. Second year it should not probably hit, because in the first year nothing is due as on 31st March. So therefore, if nothing is due, nothing is required to be disallowed. So Gupta ji will throw much light on this, because I think across professionals there are two views prevailing. One set of view is that no, it should not be considered for disallowance because it is not due. And I think Gupta ji was also speaking on a seminar on this, but some professionals are of view that no, if this is not hit this year, this will never be hit. So something like that you have to pay before the due date of return in respect of these payments, which to me also does not seem to be a correct view. One controversy was relating to purchases followed by sales, barter transactions. I also purchase from the same party, I also sell to the same party, there is no actual payment of the transaction happening. So whether these transactions are also covered by section 43B. And we have also amendment made to, in the tax audit just 2 or 3 days ago, we had got a notification that 43B F has been amended in the tax audit. Clause F also has been inserted for the purpose of reporting by the auditors. So, as auditors, I am also a practicing chartered accountant doing audit. As auditors, sir will explain in detail provisions of 43BF for taxation purpose. But as auditors, my advice would be to be very, very careful when you are reporting any outstanding amount which is due to micro and small enterprises, because this affects not only the client, it affects the exchequer also. Recently, we have cases where NAFRA has imposed stiff penalty on auditors for giving false or wrong income tax certificates, and the monetary penalty was to the extent of 50 lakhs. Now the reopening can go beyond up to 10 years. So therefore, if we make some wrong reporting, checks have been issued, but they have not been encashed. Client has shown the payment, so nothing is outstanding as on 31st March. All these things should rather be avoided. Genuine reporting should be there. We should genuinely find out who are micro and small enterprises using all our audit procedures as far as possible and try and make the correct reporting, because you do not know. So penal action even can be taken against the auditors, not today, but also we may find us in difficulties after 10 years if the accounts say happen to be reopened and government finds that the auditor has given a false certificate, because nowadays it is only the NAFRA who is taking action. Every week you will find one order uploaded on the portal of NAFRA where punitive action has been taken against chartered accountant. It is for the first time happening. Perhaps in last 1 year at least 30 penalty orders, 30 suspension orders, even order of suspension or blanket ban on firms from practice has taken place. So this is a very serious provision. With this I request Gupta ji to kindly enlighten all us. Thank you.
Good afternoon, friends. First of all, I convey my heartful thanks to Views Exchange for having invited me to discuss with you my understanding about the provisions of 43BH, which has been recently enacted. Friends, before I take up the topic particular, I have one thing to convey, that as professionals, we should avoid evasion. Rather, we should adopt avoidance. By avoidance, I mean within the parameters of law, within the framework of the permitted provisions. If the tax liability can be reduced or avoided, it is understood. But evasion by malified means, by sham transactions, that is not advisable. Friends, when I qualified as a CA in the year 1973, the highest rate of taxation in our country was 97.775%. Now all of us sitting here would know that nowadays we are with the taxation rates of 15, 20, 25%. So if that be so, I think the government also expects we professionals to discharge our duties in a correct perspective, in a right direction, so that what is rightfully due to the government should be paid to the government. Well, with these remarks, I now take up the topic allotted to me, 43BH. Mohit ji has already given you a good amount of idea, introduction and issues in relation to 43BH. I am also discussing this with reference to various queries and issues which I have tried to make out so that our discussion can become interactive. Friends, first let me tell you what is 43BH. Notwithstanding anything contained in any provision of this Act, a deduction otherwise allowable under this Act. Now this sentence, a deduction otherwise allowable, is very, very important. A thing which is not allowable cannot be subject matter of section 43B. the items specified in 43B, if they are otherwise allowable as per the provisions of the Income Tax Act, can only be subject matter of allowance or disallowance under 43B. So, scope of 43B is enlarged year after year. There are several items: tax, duty, cess or fee, welfare dues, employer contribution to PFESI, employees contribution to PFESI, interest paid to financial institutions, interest paid to banks, etc., etc. And finally, in the 1923 budget, they have added one more item, that is any sum payable by the SSE to a micro or small enterprise beyond the time limit specified in section 15 of the MSME. So what is payable to a micro or small enterprise beyond the time limit specified as per section 15 of the MSME, that would be subject to disallowance or subject to treatment as per the provisions of 43B. Now friends, there is a proviso, first proviso, which says all items stated above, if they are paid before the due date of filing of your return under section 139(1), they should not suffer disallowance under section 43B. But now that proviso is also amended to provide that except the provisions of clause H which deals with this latest addition to section 43B, that is amounts payable to micro and small enterprises as per MSMED Act. Now friends, so this is excluded. So based on this, I have thrashed out certain issues on this 43BH. I think that will make our discussion more interesting and more interactive, so that if you have any query or issues, that also we can take up. First of all is amounts which are not debited to the profit and loss account, but they are paid or they are payable to micro and small enterprise, whether that would be hit by the provisions of 43BH. Friends, all of us know 43B is coming in the chapter of computation of income from business and profession. Therefore, items of expenses which are paid or payable to micro and small enterprises and which find their place by way of a debit in the profit and loss account, they only are governed by that. So, suppose I am purchasing some capital asset from a micro or small enterprise. Should that suffer disallowance under 43B clause H? The answer is no, because that amount is not otherwise allowable as a deduction in the computation of business income, the amount of purchase of a capital assets. Likewise, by the same analogy, there could be certain expenses which are capitalized to a capital asset. During the process of construction, even the revenue expenses directly or indirectly incurred for the purpose of acquisition and or construction of that particular asset, they are capitalized. So items which are capitalized do not find a place here. So, in relation to 40AIA, which deals with the treatment of such expenditure where TDS was deductible but not deducted. So they come for disallowance under 40AIA. In relation to 40AIA, already courts and tribunals have taken a view that expenses which are capitalized, even though no TDS has been deducted under 40AIA, if applicable, should not suffer disallowance because you are not claiming it as a deduction. So going by the same analogy and reasoning under 43BH also, we can say that for capital expenses, it should not suffer a disallowance. Sir, the matter does not end here. There are capital expenditure which get 100% deduction, like section 35, expenditure on research and development, like section 35 AD, payments made for acquisition of assets for specified assets, specified industries. Now, if your capital payment is subject to a 100% deduction, that would definitely suffer disallowance under 43BH if it is paid to a micro or small enterprise. So you need to be very cautious. Now there are certain views and there are certain articles, and even in seminars some of the learned authors have also spoken that when it comes to claim of depreciation on such assets, that will suffer disallowance under 43BH. With greatest of respect, I respectfully differ on that, because claim of depreciation does not come into picture at all. What is the disallowance is restricted to amounts paid to micro and a small enterprise, which are claimed as a deduction. So the initial amounts which is paid to micro and a small is not claimed as a deduction, and therefore that cannot be disallowed. So according to me, in my humble submission and my understanding of the provisions of law, depreciation should not suffer any adverse treatment under 43BH. Then, sir, a very important question was raised by one of my clients in my office on this 43BH. Sir, we have so many contractors and suppliers with whom we have contract that will retain certain money, retention money. We will retain that money for 6 months, for 3 months, for 1 year, depending upon the nature of contract, depending upon the nature of services performed, and till completion of that period or till completion of a satisfactory implementation and running of that particular project, we will have this percentage of retention money. Sir, retention money is also in respect of those goods or services which have not been approved or accepted. Therefore, retention money will also not be subject to 43BH, because there is a, as per the present provisions of the MSMED Act, if you raise an objection within 15 days of the receipt of your goods or services, that we have some objections or something. So, according to me, yes. Sir, retention money is held for unapproved or unaccepted goods or services. The service or goods which you are supplied, in my contract there is a term that for at least for 3 months or at least for 6 months from the date of supply, we will use this or we will see the running of this particular equipment or project, and only thereafter. So, when it comes to the taxability of retention money, the Calcutta High Court has already taken a view that your right to receive that money has not arisen in the hands of the contractor. So, uska right to receive ही नहीं बना है, so unless and until I have a legal and valid right to receive, how you can say that it is subject to allowance or disallowance in the hands of the person making the payment? That is okay, sir. Question यहाँ पर वो नहीं है. Since that, see, question of impossibility of performance, by virtue of the terms of the agreement, that amount is not paid, not payable, neither paid nor payable to the MSC. See, I have firm belief that the CBDT has to come out with a clarifications referring to these issues as to what do they feel. As per our knowledge, experience and understanding of the provisions, I have threshed out certain issues, because these are practical issues which will be faced by the business and industry in the implementation of 43BH. Merely because I will be disallowed, should I make the payment of something which is doubtful, which is contingent on the happening of certain event or certain timing? So I think that is a valid argument one can make, and this litigation is going to be there for that. Then, sir, a very important, interesting issue is whether this applies to works contracts. In relation to service tax, in relation to GST, works contract it involves the supply of goods and services, it involves the supply of labor and this thing. And there is always a problem of indivisibility under these works contract. Whether this 43BH applies to works contract. Sir, there are interesting Supreme Court and Gujarat High Court decision on this. Now, in L&T case, the Honorable Supreme Court has held that works contract is a separate species of contract. They had examined it with reference to the provisions of the MSMED Act. So it is MSMED 2006 not applicable to works contract due to its indivisibility and its composite nature. Then this matter had travelled to Supreme Court after a decision was rendered by Honorable Gujarat High Court. Now, a special legislation, since the Act is a special legislation and has an overriding effect, sir, Section 15 to 23 of the MSMED Act overrides any other law for the time being in force, any other law in the country. So this is a peculiar legislation which overrides any other law in the country, particularly the provisions of 15 to 23. So Supreme Court had an occasion to adjudicate upon the decision taken by Gujarat High Court, wherein it was held that since the Act is a special legislation and has an overriding effect, the parties governed by it are bound to follow the mechanism as given in Section 18 of the MSMED Act. As I told you, by virtue of Section 24 of the MSMED Act, Section 15 to 23 overrides any other law for the time being in force. So, friends, a lot of litigation is going to take place and lot of clarifications and lot of issues are going to crop up on this, because अभी तक तो ये 23 फाइनेंस एक्ट में आया था, अब ईयर एंड हो रहा है तो इसको लेके सीरियसनेस डिस्कशंस इश्यूज आर क्रॉपिंग अप. नेक्स्ट सर, 43BH कहाँ कहाँ एप्लीकेबल नहीं है. Let me tell you those situations where 43BH is not applicable. It is not applicable to medium enterprises, because only when amounts are paid or payable to micro and small enterprises. It is not applicable for purchases from traders. That is also a very interesting, because if you look at the definition of enterprise as given in Section 2 small e of the MSMED Act 2006, the definition says Udyam registration is restricted to benefits of priority sector. See, trader also get registered on Udyam portal. So traders registered on Udyam portal their benefits are limited to priority sector lending. That is, they get some concession on the interest rates from banks. But other than that benefit, they are not entitled to the benefits of this 15 days or 45 days and all those things. But sir, any payment made to a trader who are registered under this thing, plus applicable only for suppliers who are registered under Udyam portal. Even micro and small, if they are not registered under Udyam portal, these 43BH provisions are not applicable. Now you may ask me a question, how do I verify whether he is registered or not? See, it is in your interest to send a communication at the beginning of every year to your suppliers. Please let us know whether you are registered under Udyam portal. Give us your registration number with a copy of your registration certificate. Even if you get their registration number in the Udyam portal, if you can feed the registration number, you will have an access to his registration certificate, which will certify whether he is a micro enterprise, whether he is a small enterprise, or whether he is a medium enterprise, and whether he is a manufacturer or whether he is a service provider, because it is not applicable to traders. Then, as I already told you, it is not applicable for supplies where approval is pending. Then, not applicable to works contract. I have told you the decision of Supreme Court in Larsen and Toubro and Gujarat High Court. And then, sir, there might be outstanding amounts as on 1st of April 23 in respect of purchases made up to 31st March 23. So since the provisions are applicable from assessment year 24-25 onwards, so your purchases made till 31st of March 23 or amounts outstanding due and payable to MSME micro and small enterprises, it will, as on 1/4/23, that will not be affected by this. Then amounts which are disallowed because you have not made the payment within 15 days or 45 days as per the MSMED Act, but paid subsequently, they will be allowed on payment basis in the next year. But sir, this will have a serious repercussions on various business enterprises where the amount is huge, where in the subsequent year he discontinues with his business. So these issues will have to be understood in right perspective, right from the month of January, February of any particular financial year, to ensure that what you are paying, what is due to micro and small enterprises, whether that can be discharged and paid till 31st March of this year. Now, a question was, issue was raised by Mohit ji that you might issue a check as on 31st of March. That check does not get encashed. Friend, let us first understand what is the legal position of a check being given of a particular date and it is being encashed subsequently after a gap of time. The law is, if I have given a check today and if the supplier has received it today, in my accounts it is debited today, in his accounts it is shown as a receipt today, there is no problem. That will be treated as if it has been paid today, number one. Number two, the second thing which should be ensured or which should be verified, that whether the issued check has been honored. It should not be dishonored, number one. And at the same time, there are situations where you, as on 31st of March, your bank balance is say 20 lakhs, but you have been issuing checks worth of more than 1 crore of rupees and showing 80 lakhs as temporarily overdrawn. Well, that can lead to investigation and action. Because you did not have this sufficient balance in your bank account and you are discharging your liability just to bypass the provisions of Section 43BH. So that care and caution should be taken. At least the minimum care which should be taken, that you should show it as a payment and your supplier should give you a valid and legal receipt of that payment and account it for on the same day in his books of accounts. That is very much required. Pardon, sir? Well, as I told you, either there should be sufficient balance to make or you should have sufficient drawing power so that that check can be honored. वही जो आपने बोला. Yes, that is also a point which can satisfy that what I have issued within the drawing power that I could enjoy from the bank. Until and unless you have the information of your supplier being registered as a micro or a small enterprise, you don't have an obligation to follow this. It is advisable that you write to them. If they don't respond, you can't do anything. I can write to them, for which you should have sufficient evidence like your mail or your other legal communication or acknowledgements which satisfies that you have written to me. I am not responding, so what you can do?
Sir, suppose at the time we are getting certificate, the party is micro or small somewhere, and during there they change to itself in medium. So how?
Sir, Udyam portal have access to your GSTIN. Udyam portal has got access to your ITR. And by virtue of their access to your ITR and GST returns, they keep on capturing your data from that also. And it is your duty also, as per the provisions of MSMED Act, as and when there is increase in turnover, as and when there is increase in investments in plant and machinery, you need to inform your MSMED portal. But as a buyer, I don't have any role in these things. Unless and until I am either informed by you or unless and until I capture your details from the Udyam portal by putting your registration number. If you don't furnish me your registration number merely because I have your PAN and name, Udyam portal will not give me the details about your registration certificate. So I must have your 7-digit registration number. By that I can go, I also as a buyer can go to Udyam portal and try to find, I can get your status as to whether you are micro, small or medium, whether you are a trader, manufacturer or service provider.
But it is practically being seen that in the tax invoice itself, they are mentioning the MSME registration number.
So once they mention that tax invoice MSME registration number, you can, with that registration number, you can get their status. You can, well, that registration number is vital, right? If that is not there, you should write to them every year, because every year even Udyam portal will keep changing your status depending upon your turnover and other thing. Now friends, coming to the criteria of turnover and investment in plant and machinery. Now for micro, the investment in plant and machinery should not exceed 1 crore and your turnover should not exceed 5 crore. For small units, your investment in plant and machinery should not exceed 10 crore and your turnover should not exceed 50 crore. Now, while calculating this turnover, you have to reduce exports of goods and services. That will not be part of the turnover to decide these limits. Likewise, for calculating the investment in plant and machinery, you need to reduce the amount of plant and machinery pertaining to research and development. You need to reduce plant and machinery pertaining to industrial safety devices. You need to reduce the amount of plant and machinery pertaining to pollution control devices. So the balance is, and it has to be WDV as per the income tax records. Now, you may ask me, suppose it is my first year, I have not filed my return of the earlier year. There the MSMED notification and act says on your self-declaration basis, they will accept it. But as soon as you file a return, then it has to be the WDV as per the latest return. Now, there may be a situation that on a single pan, you have several units. Now, in that situation, आपको हर यूनिट की इन्वेस्टमेंट और टर्नओवर को क्लब करना पड़ेगा to find out under which category do you fall. And mind you, both conditions are necessary. You must fulfill the criteria of investment as also fulfill the criteria of turnover to decide in which category you fall. Now, what is the time limit for making payment? Friends, as per section 15 of the MSMED Act, if there is a written agreement, then the time limit as agreed in the written agreement, subject to a maximum of 45 days. Sir, as per Contract Act, even a verbal agreement is valid. But यहाँ पर they are being specific on the word written. So it has to be written agreement. Under Income Tax Act, there are several decisions where it was held. The revenue argued that, sir, आपका तो written agreement नहीं है, तो हम ये खर्चा allow नहीं करेंगे. The SSC could prove that written agreement not necessary as per Contract Act. So courts and tribunals have taken a view कि नहीं ठीक है. Even if it is a verbal agreement confirmed by both the party to the agreement and contract, understood. But यहाँ पर in the statute itself they are specific as to the written agreement. Right. Now, as a valid question. If it is written in the invoice and on that both the parties are acting, then that will also constitute a valid agreement. That is also clear. And in absence of an agreement, the maximum period is 15 days. Now, isme there is a rider that if you raise your objection after the receipt of goods or services within 15 days from the date of receipt of goods or services, then the date of acceptance will be treated as the day on which that objection is removed by your supplier. So this is one area. Normally, you know, not this big industry, when you supply anything pursuant to an order received, then when it is first hand received by the company, they just say received subject to approval, subject to confirmation, subject to verification and checking. So within 15 days, you must raise your objections, if any, to the concerned supplier, so that your period of 15 days or 45 days will be counted from the date when such objection is removed by the concerned supplier. That is specified. They have not said that once you remove, tab uske baad aapko turant payment karna padega. So, and they have not said that removal of objection has to be done within 1 week or 10 days. That there they are silent. So, thoda bahut planning ka scope banta hai. I would not call it planning, just to going by the letters of the law, one can have some elasticity here. In one of the seminars, one of the learned speaker was telling us that advance payments to MSME, whether it should be hit by the provisions of 43BH or whether they are allowable under section 43BH. Sir, 43BH का first line आप खाली सुन लीजिए. According to me, that is very vital, as I was telling you initially also. Notwithstanding anything contained in any other provision of this Act, a deduction otherwise allowable under this Act. If I make a payment of advance, which is of the nature of item specified in 43B, should it be allowed as a deduction only on the plea that I have made actual payment during the year? Unless and until it is otherwise allowable as per the various provisions of the Income Tax Act, that should not be, according to me. Now, there is a decision of Honorable Supreme Court in the case of CIT versus United Glass Manufacturing Company Limited, reported in 28 taxman.com 429, Supreme Court decision. What does it say? I am reading the head notes. Section 43B, business disallowance, certain deductions to be allowed only on actual payment, custom duty. Whether advance custom duty paid by SSE was to be allowed as deduction under 43B. And in the head notes they say, yes, in favor of SSE. I was differing with this view, but when I read the entire text of the judgment, there is a contrary finding given by Supreme Court itself in the said decision. Now that particular 2-3 lines I would like to read for your benefit. Heard learned counsel of both the sides, leave granted, there was some delay. This civil appeal filed by the department pertains to assessment year 95-96. Both Income Tax Appellate Tribunal and High Court have come to the conclusion, please listen carefully, that there was no evidence to show that advance custom duty has been paid by SSE on import of goods under the Customs Act. In the circumstance, so ऊपर में लिख रहे हैं कि एडवांस कस्टम ड्यूटी अलाउबल है, then they are saying neither ITAT nor High Court have said that advance has been paid. That means High Court itself is, Honorable Supreme Court itself is agreeing to the fact that no advanced custom duty was paid in the facts of the particular case. And going by the analogy, going by the reasoning that if something is not otherwise allowable and as per the provisions of the Income Tax Act, that cannot be, there I cannot take the benefit of 43B.
How can advance be a profit and loss account item?
Sir, you have replied what I wanted to say. If you make an advance which is not related to the year under consideration, you put it on the asset side of the balance sheet, either as a prepaid expenses or as a advance payment or as something. That cannot become expenditure or liability incurred for the particular year. So that is not otherwise allowable as per the provisions. So with greatest of respect to Honorable Supreme Court, this decision has some anomaly according to me. बोलिए.
एसेट के बारे में बताया कि अगर एसेट परचेज करते हैं तो उसमें एप्लीकेबल
सर 48(3) में स्पेसिफिकली कॉस्ट ऑफ एक्विजिशन 43(1) का जब डेफिनेशन पढ़ते हैं हम लोग, उसमें स्पेसिफिकली बोला है what is paid in cash will not form part of cost. So depreciation is allowed on the cost of acquisition, and when you read the definition of cost of acquisition, what is paid under 48(3) is excluded. So therefore, by analogy, by reading these provisions consecutively, we very well can say that no depreciation is allowed of payments made in cash in excess of 10,000 for acquisition of a depreciable asset. That is clear. सर इक्वेट करने के लिए यहाँ ये प्रोविजन है कि 40 कॉस्ट ऑफ एक्विजिशन का जो डेफिनेशन है उसमें 43(1) में, लेकिन 43(BH) के लिए वैसा प्रोविजन नहीं है. मैं आपको इसका दूसरा आगे आपको बताऊंगा. So therefore, as I told you, advance paid to MSAE will not be allowable as per 43(BH). That will not be. Then, बोलिए. नो, क्यों करना पड़ेगा? No. See, 43(BH) is applicable for items which are part of 43(B), which are chargeable in claimed as a deduction in computing income from business or profession. एसेट परचेज के उसका कॉस्ट न तो P&L में डेबिट होता है, न कंप्यूटेशन ऑफ बिजनेस इनकम में कहीं क्लेम आता है. सो देयरफॉर वहाँ नहीं होगा. Now comes to presumptive taxation provisions of 44AD, 44ADA, 44AE. यहाँ प्रॉब्लम क्या आती है? 43(BH) says notwithstanding anything contained in any other provisions of the Act. 44AD also says notwithstanding anything contained under any other provisions of the Act. So दोनों एक दूसरे के ऊपर बैठे हुए हैं. Now question is, what should be the position in this situation? Sir, जब ऐसी situation आती है तो legal jurisprudence में we have a principle that specific should prevail over general. Now 44AD, 44ADA, 44AE are specific provisions for computing business income under the respective sections, whereas 43(BH) is a general provision wherein whenever you are computing business income, making payments to 43(BH) entities, micro or small, तो मेरे हिसाब से 44AD, AE और ADA के जो provision है, they would prevail over 43(BH). Please.
44AD, 44ADA will not attract 43BH.
Right.
But then it will certainly attract section 16 of MSMAD.
Yeah, it will. No, I was coming to that, but आपने मेरा काम कर दिया. Thank you very much. ट्रेडर्स को उनको डबल वैमी है. ए ट्रेडर, he is not enjoying the benefits of micro and small enterprise. उनको ये 15 दिन 45 दिन का बेनिफिट नहीं मिलेगा. A trader when buying from such enterprises, he has to satisfy the requirement of 15 दिन and 45 दिन. So this is the crucial situation. Disadvantages, double loss to the trader. Sir, that is between that trader and the MSME portal, Udyam portal. That is okay. Instant register hota hai, but every year you need to update. Whenever there is a change in your investment in plant and machinery or in your turnover, which changes your criteria from medium to small or small to micro, तो वो आपको, it is between that entity and the MSME portal. So long as you don't get yourself changed, and MSME portal, as I have already stated, they have access to your ITR, they have access to your GSTIN. So वो लोग भी अपना डाटा कैप्चर करते रहते हैं. So suo moto उनके एंड से भी चेंज होता है. Yes, sir.
As I could gather from your words that it's the primary onus of the buyer to verify whether supply is getting or falling within this MSMED or not. Right? If that be the case, the MSMED, the enterprise are supposed to file the memorandum under H1 when they satisfy the parameters. But then it is again at the whims and fancy. They can apply or they cannot even apply. Okay. Now, what is that? If the onus, the primary onus is on the buyer, but then registration has to be gotten by the MSMED, 81, H1. Now, point is that, sir, the year comprises of 364 days, 665 days. How can the buyer go on verifying the entity of the supplier all throughout the year? Practically,
You should take your steps in the beginning of the year by writing to your supplier.
then it may happen that he can get registered
Uh,
H1 during the any point of the year.
Sir, you cannot dream that on which date he will get himself registered. See, there is
Law is silent about that.
no, law is silent, then at the same time there is a principle of impossibility of performance. Law is not expected you to be after your supplier every day to find out whether you have registered, whether you have registered, whether you have registered. That is not expected of you. That is not expected of you. But he is under an obligation. The moment he is registered, he should mention on his letterheads, bills, invoices. He need to put on all his stationery his Udyam registration number. The moment you come to know by any document, challan, bill, letterhead, orders, that his Udyam registration number is there, then straight away you can go to Udyam portal by that registration to find. देखिए ये आपको अपने एक सिस्टम में डालना पड़ेगा कि every 3 months or every 6 months your one department will check all these things, the status of the suppliers. And आप उनको लिखिए ना, उनको लिख के आप, if they are silent, if they are not writing, then you don't have any obligation. You don't have any obligation.
I have a different word.
बोलिए.
I have problem, some confusion. Confusion is that the primary onus falls to the buyer to verify. It's not the obligation of the supplier. Supplier's duty is to mention that on the documents. That is
Yes.
their part.
हाँ.
But nonetheless, it's the primary duty of the buyer.
Sir, if I am the supplier, if I don't mention, if I don't inform you, if I don't respond to your queries, you are not hit by any provision.
What would be the case? Suppose the supplier is a MSMED enterprise,
Correct?
but then he is not informing.
He is not informing, he is not printing on his stationery, bills, invoices, orders, etc. Then how you can know? You are not expected to be after him or investigate or put CBI inquiry or things like that.
Supposed to send email or some sort of.
That is what I am saying. You send your communication at the beginning of the year that, sir, we are purchasing materials from you. Please let us know whether you are registered with Udyam portal. Send us your registration number along with a copy of the certificate. उसको एक बार आप remind कर दीजिए 1 महीने बाद. 2 बार देने के बाद भी if he is silent, then you don't have any problem.
What I can perceive out of this, that it means this exercise has to be repeated every year.
It should be, because every year the Udyam portal is also changing and improving or deproving your status, whether you are medium, whether you are small, whether you are micro, वो भी change करते रहते हैं. So every year तो आपको करना पड़ेगा.
जो वर्क में काम करवा रहे हैं ये क्या मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में आएंगे, ट्रेडर में आएंगे? इसमें लिए खुद का मशीनरी नहीं है. जैसे मैंने कपड़ा लिया, कपड़े से मैंने रेडीमेड बनवाया, तो जो वर्क में बनवाया मैंने किसी कारीगर से.
Sir, I think वहाँ पर एक controversy है. As I initially I told you that decision of Larsen and Toubro and Gujarat High Court कि in case of works contracts where there is a supply of goods and services and also supply of manpower, दोनों चीज़ जहाँ पर होती हैं, लेबर का भी उसमें इन्वॉल्वमेंट है, गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज भी है, तो So works contract are outside the purview of this MSMED. Sir, as a buyer, you are concerned with his registration status. वो अपने घर में क्या है क्या नहीं है उन्होंने क्या बोला MSMED को, that is none of your business. If the certificate says they are micro or small, they are manufacturer or service provider, we have to follow this 43BH. Sir, they are not penalized. I think you and me are not rightly in touch with the real life business situation. Many registration are getting cancelled now. I am a supplier, I am registered. Because I am registered, you will have to make payment within 45 days or maximum 45 days. और अभी हम तो 2 महीना में 3 महीना में आपसे पेमेंट लेते हैं, still I am happy enough. So I have represented to government, I have surrendered my certificate of MSEM. बहुत जगह ये चीज़ बहुत strong चल रही है. So don't worry, you might get some notifications for changes and amendments or relaxations or.
People have stopped getting good from the register.
Yeah.
Sir, the point is once you are enacting a law.
Sir, as a buyer, if my finances do not permit to pay you, say 3 महीना से पहले नहीं दे सकता हूँ, तो मैं कब तक खरीदूंगा? I will have to stop purchasing from you. I will have to, and that is what is happening. यही मैं बोल रहा था सर.
नहीं सर, कैंसिल नहीं हो रहा है, ऐसा सुना है, ऐसा है क्या? ये अपने एप्लीकेशन कर दे रहे हैं कैंसिल का, लेकिन कैंसिल हो नहीं रहा है.
सर कैंसिल हो नहीं रहा है, वो चीज़ अलग चीज़ है. तब आप अपना सप्लायर को बोलिए कि हमको कुछ बताओ ही मत तुम. न रजिस्ट्रेशन नंबर दो, न आपसे कॉपी दो, न रिप्लाई दो, सोते रहो मेरी बात पे. क्या कर सकते हैं? So for you and me. Sir, out of 543 members of parliament, more than 350 are advocates. So they are all into the legal profession. They would not like this law to be simple. Anyway, sir. Huh, sir?
Speaking about registration, there is provision for filing memorandum phase 1. Now there is no provision for withdrawing the registration.
1 second. Hello.
Suppose somebody wants to withdraw the registration, wants to get it cancelled, so moto. I just could not find any provision as such there in the law.
Well, I would not be competent to give you a perfect reply on this, but we have to. There are provisions under the MSMED Act. You need to write to them, narrate the circumstances that I have fallen below this turnover limit, I have fallen below this investment in plant and machinery limit. Huh.
You are disqualified for certain reason, you are getting disqualified. But so moto you cannot apply for withdrawal of the cancellation of your registration. So moto you cannot. I have received the screenshots. That is there.
नहीं है उसको थोड़ा सा अपने को we need to go slightly deeper into the MSMED provisions, but there are provisions.
No point. I'm just saying. I beg to differ. Sir, let us discuss income tax. You can discuss with sir. He has got it cancelled.
चलिए, disclosure as per Companies Act. Mohit ji has already narrated that as per Schedule 2 Companies Act 2013 in the balance sheet, you need to say that what are the trade payables have to be bifurcated into amounts payable to micro and small enterprises and amounts payable to creditors other than micro and small enterprises.
There are lot of violation during this assessment year, this financial year, 2021. At the year end, everything is right. But during the violations made during the year, whether we have to ask the clients to provide for interest.
Sir, I am telling you, if you have purchased material on 1st of April 23 and if you have made the payment on say 31st of March 24, आपने पूरा 12 महीने में पेमेंट दिया है, but it is not outstanding as on 31st of March 24, 43BH will not apply. Now come to provisions of section 16 of the MSMED Act, which provides for levy of interest. Sir, levy of interest may try to understand the practical implications. The levy of interest as per 16 says, the interest is paid or payable at the rate of 3 times the bank rate, compounded on a monthly basis. So that comes to a hefty and this thing. But then if you read section 23 of the MSMED Act, it says any interest paid or payable under 16 shall not be allowed as a deduction in the computation of your income. 3CD में भी there is a specific clause which says कि अगर 23 में आपने कोई इंटरेस्ट दिया 16 में इंटरेस्ट दिया है तो उसका डिटेल दीजिए. तो सर इम्प्लीकेशन क्या है, अगर हम लोग इंटरेस्ट का प्रोविजन भी करते हैं एज पर सेक्शन 16, इट इज़ डिसअलाउएबल, इट इज़ एडेड बैक. तो मेरे एक क्लाइंट ने पूछा, सर हमारा तो पार्टी मांगता भी नहीं है और हमको देना भी नहीं है, बट आप बोलते हो कि आपको तो प्रोविज़न करना पड़ेगा द वे यू आस्क्ड मी, तो हम अभी कर भी लेंगे तो हमको तो साल 2 साल 3 साल बाद राइट बैक करना पड़ेगा. तो मेरे ऊपर राइट बैक के समय क्या इनकम में होगा? क्यों होगा भैया? व्हेन आई हैव प्रोवाइडेड इट वाज नॉट क्लेम्ड एज ए डिडक्शन, सो व्हेन आई राइट इट बैक इट विल नॉट बी एडेड टू माई इनकम. तो ये थोड़ा एकेडमिक है. अनलेस एंड अनटिल देयर इज ए क्लेम बाय योर सप्लायर, you should give a disclosure that these information in absence of a claim or in absence of a computation provided by the, this is not, and it does not affect your taxable income under Income Tax Act. True and fair view में आप जो बोल रहे हो वो that is understood, but वहाँ भी looking at the size of the company we should go into the materiality aspect. If that amount is hefty, if it materially alters or changes your प्रॉफिट और लॉस और फाइनेंशियल स्टेटस, तब थोड़ा सा उसका डिस्क्लोजर अपने को करना पड़ेगा. दैट इज व्हाट आई एम सेइंग. इफ द पार्टी इज नॉट क्लेमिंग तो हमको तो लिख के ले लीजिए उसको सर, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है उसमें. देन सर, provisions of certain expenses, like say provision of audit fee. Now provision for audit fee is done during the financial year to which the audit pertains. TDS भी deduction होता है, payable to ABC, payable to XYZ. Now whether 43BH will be applicable, because वहाँ तो न 15 दिन में पेमेंट होना है न 45 दिन में होना है, सर्विस ही नहीं रेंडर होंगी ना. क्वेश्चन या मेरा कहने का मतलब, सो सर देयर 43BH विल नॉट बी एप्लीकेबल टू सच प्रोविजंस वेयर द नाइदर द गुड्स हैव बीन रिसीव्ड नॉर द सर्विसेज हैव बीन परफॉर्म्ड और रेंडर्ड. सो 43BH वहाँ नहीं एप्लीकेबल होगा. If there is a dispute between the buyer and seller, as I already told you, if you raise an objection and or dispute within 15 days of the receipt of the goods or services, then the counting of 15 or 45 days will start from the date on which that dispute is removed by the buyer. Correct? Supplier. और जो अभी बीच में क्वेश्चन आ रहा था कि अगर वो हमको इन्फॉर्म नहीं करते हैं या उनका डिटेल मेरे पास नहीं है, तो सप्लायर की जो डेफिनेशन है MSMED, दैट गिव्स योर रिप्लाई. द डेफिनेशन ऑफ सप्लायर इज कंटेन्ड इन सेक्शन 2 small n. Only micro and small that are Udyam registered are considered supplier from the date of Udyam registration. So unless and until you are informed by your supplier, either by specifically writing to you or by putting the fact of registration on their bills, invoices, challans, letterheads, etc., तब उसके पहले अपना ऑब्लिगेशन स्टार्ट नहीं होता है. सीए फर्म को अप्लाई होगा कि नहीं, भैया रजिस्ट्रेशन करा लो तो अप्लाई हो जाएगा, साल 6 महीने में क्लाइंट दूसरी जगह चला जाएगा. सर कौन 15 दिन में आपको पेमेंट देगा यार? sometimes part payment is being done. Say you have made 50% payment in advance, or you have made 50% within 15 days or 45 days as agreed. Some balance is remaining. So the balance which remains and which is paid beyond the period will be allowed in the year of actual payment. Checks drawn on 31st of March, I have already discussed. You must ensure that there is sufficient balance that is honored, and the accounting entry and the receipt should be on the same date on which you have issued and they have received. Now there might be a situation, you are making certain provisions, but you are not crediting the individual account of the payees. Or there might be a situation where the payees are not identifiable at all on that particular date. Sir, I recall a case in relation to section 194A. 194A, interest paid, TDS has to be deducted, and there is an explanation in 194A which says that even if the amount is credited to a suspense account or interest payable account, still TDS has to be deducted. Now, actual case I am telling you, I think that was for Reliance Industries, reported decision hai wo. So Reliance had issued certain debentures on which interests were to be paid every 6 months on 30th of June and 31st of December. Accounting year था उनका 31st of March. तो when on 31st of March they were finalizing their account, तो वो जनवरी से मार्च तक का जो interest था, that has accrued on the basis of mercantile and accrual system of accounting, and they had provided. But उन्होंने जितना डिवेंचर आउटस्टैंडिंग था उसके बेसिस पे उन्होंने 3 महीने का इंटरेस्ट प्रोवाइड कर लिया. There was a survey by the TDS department in this thing, and they said you are not deducted, there is a violation of 194A. That says even if you don't credit, even if you credit to suspense account or interest payable account, what was argued by Reliance, sir, हम TDS काटेंगे, हम किसके नाम से फॉर्म TDS certificate issue करेंगे? Because on the record date, those who are my debenture holders, पेमेंट तो हम उनको देंगे. रिकॉर्ड डेट इज डिसाइडेड 1 day or 2 days बिफोर द कट ऑफ डेट. तो देयरफॉर दो अंडर मर्केंटाइल सिस्टम दिस इज ए लीगल एंड वैलिड लाइबिलिटी, बट in absence of a payee's detail, I cannot do anything. So if you can satisfy that the payee is uncertain as on the date, then 43BH may not be applicable to your case. Then 43BH may not be applicable in your case. Sir, if both 20% and 80% are in the same financial year, I don't foresee any problem. In the year in which you have made the initial payment, उसी साल में purchase record हुआ ना, और उसी साल में 20% भी payment हुआ, 80% भी. You pay after 363 days, no problem. If it is within the same financial year in which purchase has been recorded, 43VH does not affect you, but interest under section 16 may be enforced upon you if the buyer demands. If the seller demands. No. If the payee is identified and liability is quantified, then where is the question of saying that it is not, it is very much applicable. जहाँ payee identified नहीं होता है, आपकी liability है, accrued हो गई है, वहाँ पर आपको 43BH नहीं, because you don't know who is the entity to whom you will be discharging that liability. Sir, with great respect, these large companies, when they make the payment of interest, they have a cut-off date. उस डेट के पहले एसएस गुप्ता का डिवेंचर इनको ट्रांसफर हो सकता है, इनका डिवेंचर आपको ट्रांसफर हो सकता है. Sir, how it will be intimated on? Sir, उसका रिप्लाई मैं दे रहा हूँ. वो 31 मार्च को प्रोविजन करेंगे. 30 अप्रैल को मोहित जी आपको दे दिए, आपसे प्रेम हो गया इनका, तब सर. अरे तो ट्रांसफर तो आप तो 30 अप्रैल के बाद ही कराओगे ना, उसके पहले कहाँ से कराओगे? 30 अप्रैल को वो मोहित जी को सर, I tell you, I had one case to argue in practice, taxation of interest on fixed deposits. I had several fixed deposits running into crores of rupees, one of the cooperative societies of West Bengal government. तो मैं आज fixed deposit करता हूँ, the terms was 3 months, 6 months. तो मेरा जिस date को deposit है, every 3 months interest will be credited to my current account. So till that 3 months period comes, I don't have a right to receive that interest. Because as per the original FD conditions, terms and conditions, the interest is payable every quarter from the date of taking the fixed deposit. तो पहला डेट जुलाई में पड़ा, उसके बाद अक्टूबर में पड़ा, उसके बाद फरवरी में पड़ा. तो जो फरवरी और मार्च का इंटरेस्ट डिपार्टमेंट वांटेड टू टैक्स ऑन मी. I said that I don't, even under mercantile system of accounting, so long you don't have a legal right to receive an income, that cannot be taxed. खाली accrual concept से नहीं taxation होगा वहाँ पर. You must have a legal right to receive, and the payer must have a legal obligation to pay. Does the bank have an obligation to pay you for that 2 months on that particular? No. So therefore, and there are right up to Supreme Court has adjudicated on that. So unless and until दोनों साइड से लीगल राइट टू रिसीव, लीगल ऑब्लिगेशन टू पे होगा, तब तक मर्केंटाइल सिस्टम में भी नहीं होगा वो. Another very important issue, can disallowance under 43BH be made while calculating book profit under MAT under 115 JB? नहीं होगा. When you make the computation of book profit, 43B, 40AIA, these disallowances are not considered for the profit and loss as determined as per the Companies Act. That is the starting point, and only additions and disallowances as per explanation given to 115 JB. तो 43BH 115 JB MAT computation में नहीं आएगा. Another very interesting issue, charitable trusts, making a payment to a micro and a small enterprise for expenditures incurred. Will 43BH will come into play? Sir, the reply is no. Why I tell you no? See, charitable trust, chapter section 16 and the 5 heads of income are not applicable in the computation of income of a charitable trust, which are registered under 12AB or 12AA. Now, now there are specific provisions made even in section 11, that if you make cash payment in excess of 10,000, it will be disallowed, it will not be treated as an application. If there are payments made to parties on which TDS was to be deducted but not deducted, so वो भी आपको application नहीं माने. So there are specific provisions under the section 11 itself to say that so and so will not be allowed as an application. But there is nothing so far as 43BH is concerned. So वहाँ भी ये applicable नहीं होगा. Whether interest payable to MSE under section 16, whether it is allowable, no. Section 23 is very specific. बोलिए. हाँ. I'll give you a reply. ठीक है, ठीक है.
But this disallowance under section 23 of MSMED Act
Hmm.
pertaining to suppliers,
Hmm.
how can it disallow under the IT Act for the buyer?
Can I read it?
Yes, sir.
23 आप सुन लीजिए, आपका रिप्लाई मिल जाएगा. Notwithstanding anything contained in the Income Tax Act 1961, the amount of interest payable or paid by the buyer under or in accordance with the provisions of this Act, MSMED, shall not, for the purpose of computation of income under the Income Tax Act, be allowed as a deduction. पढ़ने का बात नहीं है सर. एक्ट ऑफ पार्लियामेंट सेज इनकम टैक्स एक्ट को मैं नहीं मानता हूं. एंड देन सर ऑल्सो रीड सेक्शन 24, overriding effect the provisions of section 15 to 23, which includes 23, shall have effect notwithstanding anything contained in any other provisions. बोलिए.
The computation of the buyer is being done under IT Act. Okay, how can the MSMED Act, which is attracting the supplier, can hit the buyer, who is being dictated by IT Act? The computation has got done
Sir,
under IT Act.
as a buyer, you are making payment of interest under section 16 of the MSMED Act. And section 23 says that such interest paid by the buyer cannot be allowed as a deduction in the computation of total income.
I still have a confusion. That can always be possible.
Sir,
But this allowance under 37 is unstandard. Accounting standards are, but when accounting standards are there, RBI says that you have to follow my accounting, then you follow. So that can always be.
with great respect, that is the only interpretation possible when the Act specifically says, Namaskar. When the Act specifically says we cannot go otherwise, it overrides any other law, including income tax, and specifically section 23 overrides the Income Tax Act. So therefore, there is no confusion in that.
Sir, how many acts overrides income tax act?
Well, I give you the reply. See, there is no specific law or provision or notification which gives you a list of acts. You need to look into the respective act to verify whether it overrides the provisions of Income Tax Act. अभी हम लोग at times we argue before the tribunal or before the appellate authorities. Sir, Constitution of India के अंडर में सब चीज आ जाती है. Even this income tax, MSMED. Now, if I can prove that what is being done is contrary to what is contained in the Constitution, तब सब चीज fail हो जाता है. Article 265 of the Constitution says you cannot collect even 1 rupee without the authority of law. And the moment we can establish that the Act does not permit you to levy this tax, it has to be accepted. तो थोड़ा सा क्या अपने को बैलेंसिंग करके लीगल ज्यूरिस्प्रूडेंस को समझ के which law prevails over which law, we have to go accordingly. When there is a specific statement in the Act itself that it overrides Income Tax Act, then you need to forget this. You have to go by MSMED. तभी आप देखिए ना, आपका टैक्स ऑडिट में तो देयर इज ए स्पेसिफिक क्लॉज दैट व्हाट इज द अमाउंट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट पेड और पेबल टू MSME, है ना. तो इफ व्हाट इज द ऑब्जेक्ट इज टू लेट द अथॉरिटीज नो वेदर दैट अमाउंट इज एडेड बैक इन द कंप्यूटेशन ऑफ योर इनकम और नॉट. सो सर, दीज वेर द इश्यूज. आप लोगों की कोई क्वेरीज हो, कोई क्वेश्चंस हो, आई शैल बी ग्लैड टू रिस्पॉन्ड टू इट.
Sir, 2 questions.
बोलिए.
One on the year end, which is not due but paid subsequently, as you had said earlier also.
सर, मैंने बोला था, देखिए देयर, उसका भी वेरी गुड क्वेश्चन एंड दैट वाज माय फर्स्ट रिएक्शन. रीडिंग द प्रोविजंस, वो चीज़ दिमाग में घुसती है. क्या बोलता है? Any sum payable by the assessee to a micro or small enterprise beyond the limit specified in section 15 of the MSMED Act. So, as on 31st of March, whatever is the amount payable to micro and small enterprises should be bifurcated into two categories: payable beyond 45 days or 15 days as the case may be, and payable within 15 or 45 days. So therefore, reading this only, it gives an impression as if what is not beyond 15 or 45 days as on 31st of March cannot be disallowed. But हमने बोला था ये बात on a platform of CA Institute, but now when you read the proviso to this first proviso, which specifically says that for all other payments except 43BH, if paid before 139(1), shall be allowed as a deduction. So that proviso will become redundant if we take this, if we analyze it in the manner I had stated. So I stand corrected. I have changed my understanding of this thing.
But sir, there are cases where says that interest which is accrued but not due as on 31st March, that is not hit by 43.
Yeah, I have already told.
It is similar case, purchase has been made but it is not accrued and due as on 31st March.
See, what is mean by accrued and due? Purchase आपने खरीद लिया, आपका माल आ गया, आपका कोई ऑब्जेक्शन उसमें नहीं है.
But it is not yet due.
Due for what?
Payment.
तो ड्यू फॉर पेमेंट डज नॉट मीन कि आपका एक्रूवल नहीं हुआ. एक्रूवल तो हो ही गया ना. Sir, interest accrued and due is on a different footing, because there you apply the analogy and principle of right to receive and right to pay. तो अगर interest is accruing on say 30th of April, तो 31 मार्च को न तो आपका राइट है बैंक से क्लेम करने का, न बैंक का ऑब्लिगेशन है आपको देने का. Therefore, even under mercantile system of accounting, that income does not accrue to you.
But same analogy cannot be for purchase.
Sir, purchase के लिए नहीं होगा. Purchase is what? Purchase is accounted for as a liability on the date when you receive the goods or services.
25 मार्च को माल परचेज किया
हाँ,
गुड से,
हाँ.
तो उसका 21 मार्च को पेबल ही नहीं है ना एक्चुअली, कि उसका 45 दिन में जाने दो.
हाँ, तो हम कहाँ बोल रहे हैं सर आप 45 दिन में दे दीजिए, इस साल में क्लेम कर लीजिए. आप बोलेंगे 31 मार्च को तो ड्यू नहीं था, लेकिन हम अगले साल में तो 3 महीना बाद देंगे.
45 दिन देता था तो
अलाउ है, वो तो फर्स्ट प्रोवाइजो बोल ही रहा है. बट फर्स्ट प्रोवाइजो क्या बोला है कि अगर आप ये बोलोगे कि हम अगले साल में 139(1) के पहले दे दिए, यू विल नॉट गेट दैट बेनिफिट.
This means we have to pay within April to get the.
Sir, it is advisable. It is advisable. Because otherwise the first proviso become redundant.
प्लस द कांसेप्ट ऑफ इवेंट्स अकरिंग आफ्टर द बैलेंस शीट डेट हैज टू बी फॉलोड.
Has to be followed, plus वो तो on the face of it है ना कि आपने कितना दिन में दिया है. वो फर्स्ट अदरवाइज उनको फर्स्ट प्रोविजो में एक्सेप्ट 145BH लिखने का जरूरत नहीं है.
वी आर गोइंग टू ऑडिट इट इन जुलाई अगस्त.
आप कभी भी करें, उस डेट तक भी अगर आपका ड्यू नहीं होता है तो ये नहीं है कि वो डिसअलाउ हो जाएगा.
Sir, one on barter transactions.
Yeah, barter transaction was a very good question. Sir, ये issue has already been tested by CBDT in relation to 40A3. 40A3 में जो कैश पेमेंट का है कि हमको बियॉन्ड पहले तो 20,000 था, which is now stands reduced to 10,000. तो if you read the rule 6DD जो उसका है, उसमें उन्होंने बोला है कि देयर माइट बी ए सिचुएशन वेयर जहां हमको जिसको पेमेंट करना है उससे हमारा सेल्स भी है और एक से परचेज भी है, तो हम उसको नेट कर सकते हैं. तो आई थिंक इन केस ऑफ बार्टर ट्रांजैक्शन दैट एनालॉजी शुड अप्लाई.
Okay.
शुड अप्लाई. या वेरी मच. इफ यू आपके पास माल मेरा आया, आप अपना as soon as you receive the goods you say अभी अप्रूवल नहीं हुआ है, once it is approved or you raise your objection or problem जो भी है, and then the law says that you can raise such objection within 15 days. आप 15 दिन में उनको बोल दीजिए. उसके बाद वो जब तक उसको ठीक नहीं करते हैं, जब तक उसको रेक्टिफाई नहीं करते हैं, तो 15 दिन या 45 दिन फ्रॉम द डेट ऑफ रिमूवल ऑफ ऑब्जेक्शन और सर आप 15 दिन में उनको ये इंटीमेशन दे दीजिए कि द नेचर एंड कैरेक्टर ऑफ द मटेरियल विच हैज बीन रिसीव्ड रिक्वायर सो मच टाइम वेयर इन इट विल बी टेस्टेड, सो टिल दैट टाइम देर इज नो अप्रूवल। फिर उसके बाद वो 15 दिन बाद 30 दिन बाद जो है वो
Sir, only on this barter transactions, they say actually paid. In case of conversion of loan to equity or conversion of interest to funded term loan, court has said that it is not a case of actual payment. Actual means it should be physically paid and not constructive payment. So in barter transaction, is it not constructive payment rather than actual payment?
सर मोहित जी आप जो ये बोल रहे हैं इस क्वेश्चन पे देर आर ट्रांजेक्शन्स पर्टेनिंग टू अमाउंट पेड टू फॉरेनर्स इन फॉरेन कंट्रीज। अब मेरा वहाँ से पेमेंट आना है और मैंने वहीं पर किसी एजेंट को कुछ पार्ट ऑफ द कमीशन देना है। नाउ आई हैव गिवन ए इंस्ट्रक्शन कि उससे आप वहाँ से दे दीजिए। सो देयर कोर्ट्स एंड ट्रिब्यूनल हैव टेकन ए प्रैग्मेटिक व्यू कि दैट विल नॉट कंस्टिट्यूट एज इफ इट हैज बीन पेड इन कैश और अदरवाइज बाय अकाउंट पे चेक। दोज सिचुएशंस हैव बीन अंडरस्टूड।
If there are any questions from the floor?
आप लोग you can ask questions.
Sir, right now you say that provisions in respect to the audit field will not attract 43BH. Okay. कभी न कभी तो liability उसकी establish होगा, determine होगा. तो वहाँ से क्या applicable होगा?
वहीं से होगा बिकॉज 15 days और 45 days इज फ्रॉम द डेट ऑफ रिसीविंग योर सर्विस। तो ऑडिट सर्विस आपने प्रोविज़न 31 मार्च 2024 में कर लिया, ऑडिट स्टार्ट हुई है जून 2024 में, कंप्लीट हुई है अगस्त 2024 में। सो योर सर्विस हैज़ बीन कंप्लीटेड एंड रिसीव्ड इन द मंथ ऑफ अगस्त 24। सो योर 15 days और 45 days विल स्टार्ट फ्रॉम दैट, नॉट
Will it be the date of signing of the audit report, the date of the reckoning?
naturally, unless and until it is signed, the work is pending. The work is pending. Till the date of signature, there are several queries raised by the auditors which have not been rectified. There are certain management representations sought for by your auditors which have not been furnished to them. There might be certain copy of resolutions which have not been furnished to them. So that one has to go into the merits.
I have a confusion, sir. This appointed day or the day of agreement, will it be reckoned from the date of raising the bill or signing of the audit report?
Raising the bill or signing of the audit report?
Auditor is raising the bill subsequently after signing of the audit report. Suppose the audit report has been signed on 31st
हाँ.
of April, 30th of April, but then he raised the bill subsequently after 2 months.
Sir, one moment. As per MSMED, if the CA is registered under MSMED, then date of completion of service will be the date from where this period has to be counted. आप invoice raise नहीं करेंगे, उससे कुछ नहीं होता है.
Date of signing.
Yes.
Any further questions? Anybody?
So this year bank audit, they have to release the fees within signing of the balance sheet date.
Sir, bank audit में तो I mean the little I understand and know, I think 15 दिन या 45 दिन में आराम से होता है. बैंक ऑडिट में तो इतना डिले शायद नहीं होता है.
Yeah, banks to pay well in time.
हाँ, दे पे वहाँ तो ये इश्यू नहीं आएगा जहाँ तक मैं सर. I hope I should complete my discussion. I thank you very much for giving me a patient hearing.
So we had a extremely threadbare discussion. I think much questions, much to our knowledge, like works contract, retention money, advance payment, many questions were answered. Sir had done a very thorough analysis of 43BH. So 2 points relating to interest payment. Sir, you had raised this point that non-provision of interest. So there is a recent reported case by NAFRA. It was a case not on income tax but on true and fair view, which you were pointing out. A company did not provide for interest on NPA on the pretext that settlement proceedings are going on. So whatever liability is there in our books of accounts, that is still more than which we intend to settle. And therefore they said that we have not provided for interest. The auditors did not qualify the report. There was no settlement yet made. So NAFRA state that on accrual concept, you are required to make provision for interest on NPA because there is no settlement yet. Therefore, as on 31st March, the truth and fairness is disturbed. The amount was material. S2 sir was also saying that if it is material, you should consider. Now, in that case, NAFRA held that the interest on NPA, to the extent you have not provided, is considered as a material item, and it affects the truth and fairness of the financial statements. And in this case, the auditor was held guilty of misconduct. He was suspended for 1 year, and a penalty of 5 lakhs was levied upon him. So this is very important. So you have to see if interest is material to the financial statements, and this. No. What is important? You see. So not necessarily. आप जो बोल रहे हो गई, सर जो बोल रहे हैं very correct. Say profit 10 crore है, and quantum of interest is only say 5 lakhs. आप materiality threshold अपना निकालेंगे as per standards, वो आपका materiality threshold के नीचे है, you need not provide. Auditor is always empowered not to consider impact of non-material misstatements. So if it is not material, you can tend to overlook, but if it is material and you do not qualify, then there is a problem for you. And audit fees, sir ne.
Prudential law of Reserve Bank of India provide that asset is serious general income, ordinary income should not be removed.
Sir, that is on, you are talking of RBI principles on NBFC and bank.
Or NPA, any NPA.
That you are talking for bank and NBFC.
Not realized within 90 days, next 2 hours interest will not be on month,
So
will not be booked.
what I am saying,
What the auditor will do?
what I am saying, you are talking for bank and NBFC, correct? In bank and NBFC, companies do not provide interest on NPA. I am talking from the perspective of a recipient of a loan. Got it? So, sir, on audit fees, what you said, कि if it is booked on 31st March and say balance sheet is signed on 31st May 24, he has to pay within 15 or 45 days, failing which it will not be allowed as a deduction. So this is again very, very important. So maybe by the time we complete our statutory audit, generally in the month of till 31st August almost it is done and signed, and tax audit is done in the month of October. So again, so what happens in case a company did not add back MSME dues in the computation? This was deducted during scrutiny proceedings. The department has added back amount due. Therefore, in all likelihood, whether penalty under 270 AA would be attracted, whether it would be case of a misreporting or underreporting.
Primarily, it should be case of a misreporting, not underreporting, not misreporting. Because if all the facts and details are available and ascertainable from the records, Price Waterhouse का जो Supreme Court का decision है, they did not impose even 271 1C there. So it should not go misreporting.
It will be underreporting. So again, this is very important कि अगर हम MSME का इंटरेस्ट को डिसअलाउ नहीं करेंगे, MSME का ड्यूज को लाइबिलिटी को डिसअलाउ नहीं करेंगे, परहैप्स पेनल्टी आल्सो कैन बी लेविड अपॉन.
डिसअलाउ तो ऑटोमेटिक हो गया.
नहीं सर, कंप्यूटेशन में SEC ने खुद नहीं किया.
वो बट इफ इट इज रिफ्लेक्टेड एंड विजिबल इन द टैक्स ऑडिट रिपोर्ट,
उसमें भी नहीं किया. वो स्क्रूटनी प्रोसीडिंग्स में पता चला कि ये सब क्रेडिटर है, उसने 133(6) किया तो पता चला कि इट इज एन MSME.
जब आप बोल रहे हो उसने प्रोवाइड ही नहीं किया तो वो तो डेबिट या पेमेंट
नहीं,
तो हुआ नहीं.
PL में लाइबिलिटी है, कंप्यूटेशन में अनपेड अमाउंट को ऐड बैक नहीं किया. 43B में ऑडिटर ने भी रिपोर्ट नहीं किया, प्रोसीडिंग्स में पता चल गया. इंटरेस्ट का नहीं बात कर रहे, मैं लाइबिलिटी का. सर तो बोल दिए कि इंटरेस्ट नहीं प्रोवाइड करेंगे तो कोई बात ही नहीं है. आप प्रोवाइड करेंगे तो भी डिडक्शन नहीं मिलेगा, नहीं प्रोवाइड करेंगे तो कोई बात ही नहीं है. सर ने
एप्लीकेबल ही नहीं है।
एप्लीकेबल नहीं है।
तो हमको देखना पड़ेगा टर्नओवर कितना है।
नहीं नहीं, हमको खाली उसका सर्टिफिकेट देखना है उसमें।
सर्टिफिकेट में मैन्युफैक्चरर लिखा हुआ है।
हाँ, तो एक पॉइंट है, अगर कोई गलत सर्टिफिकेट ले लेता है और आपको पता है कि आप वो गलत है, यू कैन राइट टू हिम टू गेट इट अमेंडेड। इफ ही डज नॉट, और आपको लगता है कि मेरे को इनकम टैक्स में डिसअलाउ हो जाएगा, यू कैन राइट टू एमएसएमई, दे विल कैंसिल देयर सर्टिफिकेट। इफ एनी सर्टिफिकेट इज ऑब्टेन्ड ऑन द रॉन्ग डिक्लेरेशन, देन इफ अ कंप्लेंट इज फाइल्ड टू एमएसएमई, दे कैन कैंसिल द रजिस्ट्रेशन। दे हैव इवन द पावर टू सुओ मोटो कैंसिल द रजिस्ट्रेशन।
वो बोल रहे हैं कि हम चार्टर्ड अकाउंट से सर्टिफिकेट दिला देते हैं कि हम लोग ट्रेडर हैं और हम लोग हायर टर्नओवर भी हैं। हमारा सर्टिफिकेट में
चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट का सर्टिफिकेट नहीं चलेगा। यहाँ पर उद्यम रजिस्ट्रेशन पोर्टल में और उद्यम रजिस्ट्रेशन सर्टिफिकेट, दैट इज द बेसिक डॉक्यूमेंट। उसको वो अगर गलत है तो भी आप रिलाई कर सकते हो। यू डोंट नीड टू गो एनी बियॉन्ड दैट सर्टिफिकेशन।
तो सर उसमें अगर स्मॉल लिखा और ये मीडियम या लार्ज हो गया तो भी
हो गया वो मीडियम लार्ज, तो अब आदमी तो बड़ा होता ही रहता है।
तो वो एमएसएमई में डिसअलाउ किया।
सर एमएसएमई में आप
जीएसटी का टर्नओवर बंद हो गया।
एक्सेस टू इनकम टैक्स उसको अपडेट करते रहते हैं।
Thank you, Gupta ji. First of all, I would like to recognize presence of Sunil Kumar Sahu ji, who is the past chairman of EIRC. Deliberations were wonderful. We had all means not only in Kolkata, all over India, the same issue is the same burning issue of 43 BH is going on, and everyone is looking after whether to purchase goods or not, how to make sale. And I know at many places so many returns are there that warehouses are being filled up. There is no place for the stocks to be taken there. So this is the burning issue, and I think Finance Ministry is also looking after the thing, how to cope with this one. Since the change is there and so many questions were there, we had a wonderful session of Gupta ji, and everyone asked the question, and every question was a reply to that one, and we were actually overwhelmed with the deliberation. Thanks once again. Now we proceed to the second session. I think I just forgot to mention Phuturia ji. He had started the deliberation in a nice manner. Huh? So thanks to Phuturia ji. Now I request Sunil Kumar Sahu ji to come on the stage, please. And I request Keldhari Sharma ji to escort. Yeah, our session is going on. We don't have a break. I request Keldhari Sharma ji to escort Ramesh Padudia ji on the stage, please. Now we are starting with the second session of recent judicial pronouncement under income tax. I request Mr. Joshi to come on the stage and I request Mr. Mr. Joshi to come on the stage and welcome Mr. Ramesh Padudia and provide him memento. Now I request Mr. Sunil Kumar Sahu ji to have his deliberation so that we can gather his knowledge.
Thank you, Vinay Singhania ji, and sitting Nitesh Moore ji, past chairman EIRC, and Ramesh Patodia ji, and all the delegates in this afternoon. I also acknowledge the presence of S.S. Gupta ji. मैं बहुत रेस्पेक्ट करता हूं सर आपको बहुत बार आप भुवनेश्वर आए हैं हम लोग का और मोहित जी भी है बहुत बढ़िया स्पीकर है सब ऑल आर वेरी गुड स्पीकर्स एंड एक्चुअली आई गॉट द इंफॉर्मेशन दैट देयर इज ए मीटिंग फॉर मीटिंग इज ऑर्गेनाइज्ड बाय द व्यूज एक्सचेंज स्टडी सर्कल. And I just came to Calcutta for some other reason. I got information from Nitesh Moore ji, and I have decided to come to this meeting to meet all the delegates and our members. And it is very nice to meet all of them. And I also thankful to Views Exchange Study Circle for organizing this meeting and also inviting me to this meeting. I will not take more time of you. So again, I thank Views Exchange Study Circle for inviting me here. Thank you, all of you.
Now we are starting with the second session of the day, and it is going to be the interesting one because whatever law is there, we have already read law, and we had so many seminars we had heard about how to practice this one, but at times it is out of the way how to deal with the law. So I request Girdhari Sharma ji to read out brief profile of Ramesh Patodia ji.
Sri Ramesh Patodia ji is a known person. He is a regular speaker at our seminars. He is in continuous practice as a chartered accountant since last 35 years. He is mainly consulting in direct, indirect and FEMA cases. He is a regular speaker at several professional organizations. He has also written several books on professional topics, including HUF, Complete Guide to Reassessment under 148 of the Income Tax Act. He is also a member of Directors Committee of the Institute of Chartered Accountants. He is also trustee in Sri Rani Saji Mandir, Jhunjhunu and Gayatri Foundation, Calcutta. With these words, we welcome Sri Ramesh ji. Our chairman will also join after some time. Aye, sir. Ramesh ji, please, sir.
Good afternoon, friends. Vinay ji on the dais, Girdhari ji on the dais, Nitesh ji, who is just moving out for tea, I think, and Sunil Sahu ji, who has just left, respected Gupta ji, sitting in the audience, and friends, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, Girdhari ji, let me correct you. I am no longer a member of the Direct Tax Committee of the Institute. That was earlier. So, please stand corrected. Friends, today I have been asked to deliberate on the recent judicial pronouncements and recent changes in income tax. And as I can see, the flavor of the season is 43B. So I believe the session in the first half with Gupta ji on the dais was a lively session. 43B is still a unsolved mystery to most of the people. And there was hope that government will defer this for 1 year. But I don't think that it has as yet been deferred. And those who are getting, those MSMEs are saying that no Baba, humko nahi chahiye. This is the feedback which I have heard from MSMEs and professionals. So let us hope that it will see the light out of the day. Sooner or later, at least before the elections. Now friends, as far as recent changes are concerned in income tax, the Finance Act which is now there on the table, the Finance Bill was pronounced on 1st of February by Honorable Nirmala Sitharamanji, and as was expected, there were not many changes in the Finance Bill, except few sunset clauses were modified from 2024 to 2025, and there were some changes in the rate of this 206 1G, I think, regarding the forex, whatever deductions are required to be made now. So there were not much changes there insofar as the Finance Act is concerned, friends. However, there are two issues which I want to discuss with all of you, and I would invite your questions also as I go on those issues, because these issues I find to be live issues. They are day to day, the people are getting affected by those issues. And recently, there are 2-3 circulars which have come regarding one of the issue. First issue is regarding charitable trust, friends. Charitable trusts and institutions, they are now at the center of the receiving end, if I can say so. Because for last so many years, the government has been making changes in the provisions continuously if you see the last 3-4 budgets, continuously the changes have been made to tighten the provisions relating to charitable trust and institutions. And even though there are 3 sections, basically in chapter 3 of the Income Tax Act, section 11, 12 and 13 deals with the provisions relating to charitable trust or institutions. Besides certain provisions in 1023C, which is a section, one can say that 1023C is one section, subsection rather. However, I think that there are at least 30 or 32 provisos in that section. And the manner in which the changes are being made by the government year to year, it is very difficult for us professionals to keep track of those changes, leave alone those who are actually managing those institutions. Any institution, say Accountants Library, I think Accountants Library holds here the program regularly, or Views Exchange. These people are doing thankless job, sitting at the dais. And if you are saddled with huge liability on account of taxation, on account of a small error, then how to handle? And if you remember, when everybody was reeling under COVID, the government made one change regarding the manner in which the charitable trust or institutions were to be registered under section 12A, or they have to be approved under section 80G of the Income Tax Act. Earlier, once the charitable institution was registered, it was a perpetual registration. And similar was the case with 80G approval. So once you have taken, you are now free. Except that there were safeguards in the provisions that the commissioner had the power to call the trust and to see whether activities are being carried on genuinely or not. That power was always available with the commissioner, and he could, by exercising that power, could have cancelled your registration and or cancelled the approval which was granted under section 80G of the Income Tax Act. So everything was going in a smooth manner. But then in the year 2020, the amendment was made in the statute book that you have to, if you are an existing trust or institution, you have to apply for re-registration. And if you apply for re-registration, that registration will be valid for 5 years. And after 5 years, when at least 6 months are left, you have to make an application again for renewal of that registration. This was as far as the existing trusts are concerned who were having that registration already. Insofar as new trusts were concerned, which were formed later on, or they were already existing but they were not enjoying registration, they had to apply for registration which was called a provisional registration. And provisional registration, it was specified that provisional registration, if applied, it will be granted for a period of 3 years. And once you are granted the provisional registration, you will have to make an application for regular registration, which is given to the regular trust for 5 years. And there was a timeline which was prescribed that you have to make that application for regular registration when at least 6 months are about to expire in relation to your provisional registration, or within 6 months from the date of commencement of your activity. These are the timelines which were prescribed for new trusts which had taken provisional registration or which were granted provisional registration. Now friends, the government had in the Act section 12A within bracket small ac, then there were subclauses 1, Roman 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. And a timeline was prescribed that you have to apply for this. Say if you are an existing trust, you have to apply for renewal within a particular period of time. And what happened, friends, as I told you, that these institutions I have seen in my professional career, that institutions are mainly managed by working class, by like professionals or businessmen only, who have come together for a good cause, like Views Exchange, voluntarily, and who take time out of their busy schedule to do all these activities, friends. And therefore, one is not expected to be placed in that watertight situation that if you do not do this within this date, then your registration is not valid, and to the top of it, whatever income you have earned, whatever application you may have claimed against that income, that will be totally disallowed. We have seen that institutions having income of say 1 crore, because they could not apply for the final approval, re-registration, within the period as prescribed, because the last circular which came from CBDT, that was circular number 6 dated 24th of May 2023. That circular said that if you have missed the bus, if you could not apply within the time, you can apply it within 30th of September 2023. That limit, that was given to the institutions. Now friends, what has happened, a lot of you may be facing situations like this, that the institutions have said applied for the provisional registration. Provisional registration is governed by, say, particular, I am not going into the sub-clauses, etc. Provisional institution is governed, provisional application is governed by sub-clause Roman 3, say. You have applied for provisional registration correctly, you have been granted also provisional registration correctly. However, now, as I told you that provisional registration has to be replaced with regular registration within 6 months of commencement of your activities, or when 6 months is left insofar as provisional registration is going to expire. So now the institutions may not have meticulously followed that. भूल गए करना, एक तो इस तरह की मिस्टेक हो गई, भूल गए करना, 30 सितंबर तक करना था, 30 सितंबर को याद नहीं आया तो 1 अक्टूबर को कर दिया, इस तरह की भूल हुई. या व्हाट हैपेंड, रेगुलर रजिस्ट्रेशन का है सब क्लॉज 4, रोमन 4. इंस्टेड ऑफ रोमन 4 दे हैव रॉन्गली सेलेक्टेड रोमन 6. उसमें जो टैब आता है उसमें 4 वाले की जगह वो 6 सेलेक्ट करके एप्लीकेशन फाइल हो गया. एप्लीकेशन रोमन 6 डील्स विथ समथिंग डिफरेंट. दैट इज अ wrong case. So now, friends, what has happened in these situations like this, the Commissioner of Income Tax Exemptions is the appropriate authority who is required to grant the registration as per the Act, who is sitting in 10 Middleton Row, I think. So now the Commissioner says that you have applied wrongly in Roman 6. I cannot do anything. I have got to reject it. So he will reject your application, and not only this, he will reject your provisional approval also. So friends, this is one burning issue that is being faced by institutions across the country, and Calcutta also, a lot of institutions are facing situations like this.
Sir, if you could allow me to share my personal experience.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let us make it an interactive session.
See, I come from a very small village. We have all those WhatsApp groups for school friends, right? So we, connected to each other, and we wanted to, start free coaching center for surrounding people, right? Kids.
Hello, check. Hello, check. Hello.
All these things are so big now. I mean, now nobody is willing to, continue with this, social objectives. I mean, those students, those kids are struggling a bit because, the part there are a couple of friends who are sitting in other parts of the country. They were, contributing. Now the rules and regulations are now so, what do I call it? Dimensions are changing. So now the social objectives for which those trusts and societies are being formed, these are getting, deprived.
I get it. Friends, so coming back to, as rightly pointed out by Anirbandha, when you are faced with a situation like this, where the commissioner says that I cannot do anything, you have applied wrongly in, मैंने आपको टैब जो है 4 की जगह 6 सेलेक्ट कर लिया, ये आपकी भूल हो गई. अब इस भूल का इतना बड़ा आपको भुगतना पड़ेगा नतीजा कि your total application is disallowed. You are given a challan of crores. What to do? So friends, I think nothing to worry, because recently Calcutta Tribunal has pronounced several decisions, and I will give my thought on this because we have also had the occasion to handle few of them friends. Friends, my argument is that the timelines which are prescribed here in the Act, it has to be seen whether it is directory or it is mandatory. If it is mandatory, then you can say what you are saying. But if it is directory, then you cannot say that. Moreover, the provisions of Income Tax Act itself contains section 282, I think B or 292B. That simply because there has been a inadvertent error, you yourself say that it will have to be treated as valid. When it comes to you, you means Income Tax Department, if there is an error on your part, if you issue notice wrongly, you say that I am governed by 292B. So, therefore, I am also governed by 292B in the same logic, that I may have selected 4 instead of 3, but you could have corrected it to 3. You could have assumed it to be 3. Because if you see whether it is 3 or 4, the form is same. The information asked for is same. It is not that something heavens will fall if I select 3 instead of 4 or 4 instead of 3. So therefore, based on whatever form I have filled in, you had the information which you wanted. And the purpose of the form is to give you the information which is there with you. So therefore, how you can say that I will not consider it? These are the points, friends. And above all, there is a Telangana ITAT's decision, I am not remembering the citation, where the honorable members of the Telangana ITAT benches say that it is the job of the commissioner to help the SSCs and to correct the mistake committed by the SSCs rather than to take benefit or advantage of the mistake committed by the SSC. So therefore, if I have made the mistake, then you allow me to file a corrected form. You could have asked me to correct the form and file the corrected form. That was the decision. And on the same lines, friends, the Calcutta Tribunal, in the case of, I think there is a Dosar Charity Trust, and recently I had the occasion to appear in the case of People for Animal. People for Animal was pronounced only 29th, I think, last week only, where also there was a similar situation. In People for Animal also this situation happened, where I made the mistake of selecting the wrong subclause. And what happened, even though I had selected the wrong subclause, before the order of rejection was passed, I had uploaded the correct form with the correct subclause. And the CIT, though he says that I have made a submission on such and such date, but it does not recognize the correct form which I had filed. And he rejected my registration. So therefore, friends, the tribunal acknowledged that, and tribunal has directed the commissioner to consider my fresh form instead of the original form which I have filed. Then there are cases, friends, where what has happened, the original form was filed, say, with subclause 3. The commissioner gave me the hearing, and I have explained that, sir, this has been wrong, inadvertent error. So he says, okay, you withdraw this form. I am rejecting your this application. You file a fresh application. So I did that. I next day filed a fresh application. So he has rejected that. And when I have filed the fresh application, he says that this is beyond due date. This is beyond the date which is prescribed as per the law, and my hands are tied. I cannot admit anything which is beyond the due date prescribed. He cites decisions, certain decision, and he rejects it. So again, friends, here also the tribunals have taken note of such situations, and they have directed, in West Bengal Welfare Society's case, they have directed I think one or two Gupta ji also had the occasion to deal with similar situations in tribunal. And the tribunal has directed that you consider the application as having been filed within time. So, friends, this is one of the burning issue where lot of institutions are facing difficulty, and similar exactly pari materia, as we say, exactly pari materia is happening in relation to 80G also, because 80G same provisions are there, that earlier there was, now perpetual approval was there, that is now replaced with provisional approval, and provisional to final approval, and every 5 years you have to again visit. And here also you have to apply in subclause 3, 4, 5, 6, or exactly same provisions are there in the proviso to section 80G5 of the Income Tax Act. And there also, and there, the charities which are facing the problem is that in so far as 80G is concerned, once your 80G approval is rejected, you are, you can no longer receive donation. You can no longer issue certificate of approval. So nobody who are giving you donation will be able to give you the donation. So this is one of the. You can apply for, if it is cancelled for some genuine reasons, I think you can apply again for the fresh registration, you can apply. So, no, if it is already having registration under 12A, earlier act, then there is no question of applying for provisional. It has to apply for final only.
No, sir, suppose sir wrongly applied for provisional.
Okay.
In that case, what will be the time limit? 6 months or 6 months before the...
No, you see, these things are not clarified actually. Once you say you have wrongly applied for provisional, whereas you should have applied for final. So you have selected the wrong subclause. Basically, instead of say one, you have they have allowed also provisional. So in such a situation, in my opinion, the only way would be to write a letter to the appropriate authority that you, because you see one more issue which is faced.
Based on that, assessment has also been considered for the next.
So you have to apply to the commissioner saying that I did this mistake of applying in a wrong subclause and I was granted provisional registration, but I am now now I am giving the form which is correct form, which is meant for final approval. So you consider this form instead of the one which you have already considered, and grant me the registration as if I had applied for the final registration instead of provisional. This is what you have to do in my opinion, though commissioner will not do it. Let me tell you that also. Once you give that application, if it doesn't act on that, then you have to go to the tribunal, or you have to approach the writ court under Article 226 of Constitution of India. That will be the remedy.
Suppose if we get the provisional registration once again, then we always have the option to apply for final registration.
But provisional is meant for new trusts, those who did not had 12A earlier.
Then how they have given
Because they will say to that also they have safeguarded them. In the Income Tax Act they have made a provision that whenever you are applying for provisional or final, they are all being dealt with by the machine. There is no human intervention. So therefore, if while making an application you furnish certain incorrect information, then you will be held liable that they have made the law. So therefore, that you have committed that mistake, though it is not a case of false information, it is an inadvertent error. Why they have done it? You see, in case of a final registration for an existing trust like him, the form asks you to upload the copy of the trust deed as well as the copy of the existing registration certificate.
Even
last 3 years. Balance sheet though it's okay, one can give. Now you see there are a lot of institutions who came into existence about 50 years ago. They don't have their trust deed itself. They don't have. They don't have the registration certificate. What they are doing, in the income tax return, there was an option to write the registration number. So that was being copied from. Now, when you are making an application for final registration under the new law, you do not have the copy of the RC, which was there. What do? You have the number, but you don't have the copy of the RC. So, माने जुगाड़ कुछ लगाना पड़ता है. So, what people did, they have made one self-certificate that I am registered under this section since so and so year. They have signed and attached that certificate instead of the. And now, that is the attachment. But now the computer is giving you the provisional registration. The artificial intelligence is not yet that strong, which can exercise the powers which this can exercise. So artificial intelligence is granting you the provisional registration based on that certificate.
Sir, even I have a case where I
Sir, if
received
new
the
trust
final
forget to
registration
apply
after
for-
the due date crossed.
Yes.
I received the final registration. After the time limit have crossed, I have applied and I have received the final registration as well.
So government is amended the law, I think 1 or 2 years ago, that if you make any application and give any incorrect information, then you will be held liable. That they have made the law. So the onus to give the correct information, correct document is on you. In a situation like this, friends, in my opinion,
When I'm attaching last 3 years audit report, when I'm attaching last year old 1280 registration, how they can deny that it is my fault? I think
no,
document I have
in your case I am not saying.
and only after verification they are granting the provisional registration. It is
That is why they are saying that we are not verifying. The verification has not been done. It is all being granted by machine. Machine is only once you file the form, within a set period of time the machine will.
assessment has also been computed based on that information only. Then they cannot deny the
No,
assessment also.
you are right, sir. Everything I acknowledge. I agree with you. But these are, say, a few pitfalls, I think, of the digitalization.
इसका तो एक सर्कुलर आया था ना, सर्कुलर 11 of 2022,
हाँ,
3 जून का.
हाँ.
अगर किसी को प्रोविजनल मिला है और उसको फाइनल मिलना चाहिए था, तो
it will be termed as final. There are circulars, as rightly pointed out, there are circulars dealing with few of these cases, but not with the cases which I have told you. And recently, friends,
सर्कुलर नंबर क्या बता आपने?
11 of 2022, 3 June. 11 of 2022, 3 June 2022.
recently, friends, there are two circulars which are, rather they are orders issued by Central Board of Direct Taxes in relation to charitable trust or institutions. Though they are not on this point which I have elaborated before you, but they are also very important points. One is the order under section 119 dated 5th of March 2024, where, friends, the CBDT has considered the error which was committed by the institutions in filing the audit report in incorrect form. Because what happened, audit report is to be filed in form number 10B and 10BB. In case of institutions are having, say, receipts of more than 5 crores, then the applicable form, I think, was form 10B, and less than 5 crore it was 10BB. But again the same mistake has been committed. Those who were to file 10B, they have filed 10BB and vice versa. So even though I think 10B is in itself is a Herculean task, filling in a audit report in 10B is I think filling at least 5-6 returns of a corporate SSE. It requires so much of attention, so much of cross checking. Even after devoting many hours, one cannot complete that form correctly. So that is a separate issue. So in order to address that issue, the CBDT has come out with a order dated 5th of March, where they say that if you have committed any mistake like this, then they have allowed you to file the correct form within 31st March 2024. That you can file. So those of you who may have done anything like that should consider that, friends. Then 6th of March, the CBDT has come out with a order again. It's a circular which has been issued under section 119, where they have clarified the issue regarding the allowability of the regarding the manner in which the surplus of 15% is to be dealt with. You see, this is all of you must be aware that in case of a charitable trust or institutions, if you have earned any income, 85% of that is required to be spent in the year in which it is earned. This is the law. If you spend 85%, then 15% you can accumulate and you can use it for the purposes of objects of the trust. That was the law, that is still the law. However, few years ago what happened, the government was made aware, or rather I think they must have found out from their sources that what people were doing, when they were applying the application of income, means application of income for the charity. Now, I am a group of corporate group, and I am maintaining say 10 charitable trusts. Now, charitable trust A gets say 100 rupees income or 1 lakh. So I have to apply 85,000 in order to be eligible. So what I did, I gave 85,000 check to B. B is my trust only. So trust A is now clean. It has done charity, but it has come from this pocket to this pocket. Both the pockets belong to me. So in effect, I have not spent anything on charity as such. Now what do? From trust B, again I give 85% of that to C. 85% of 85,000 I give to C. So trust B is also now okay. Then from C to D, D to E, E to F. Ultimately, I take benefit of 15% at each stage, and in the result I may not spend any single rupee on charity as such. The 100 rupee in A now is distributed from A to K, and fund is with me only. This was happening, friends. A lot of people were doing it. So the amendment was made that if you give donation to another charitable trust, then only 85% of the amount which you have given will be treated as application. So in a situation like this which I explained, if in the first case out of 100 you have given 85 rupees to another trust, then 85% of 85 will be treated as application, not entire 85. So therefore, you will have to again spend difference of that 15% of 85 you will have to spend again for purposes of the object of the trust, which is not given to another trust or institution by way of a donation. This was done in order to break the chain, break this situation like this. And therefore question which arose in the mind of public, that if in an example like this, when out of say 100 rupees, I gave entire 100 to another trust. If I gave entire 100 which I had, then 85% of 100 will be treated as application. So I am meeting the criteria of 85 rupees I have spent, but I do not have now anything left because 100 I had, 100 I gave. So I have now 0. I do not have any funds with me. So therefore, the question of 15 remaining with me does not arise. I do not have anything. So therefore, in such a situation, the question arose that how this 15 will have to be treated. What is the manner? So here CBDT has come out with an example. They have given a tabular example of 3 trusts, that in case like this, when 100 is your income and 100 you have given, then you do not have to do anything. You will be deemed to have satisfied the criteria of spending 85% of your income. And you will not have anything which you can said to have accumulated, which is actually also you do not have any funds, so what you will do. So this circular has come out on 6th of March, friends, which is a welcome circular in relation to the charitable trust or institutions. So this is insofar as charities are concerned, friends. If there is any question on this topic, one can ask. Otherwise, I will move on to the next topic, friends.
What could be the reason for the appropriate government being so much strict on this drug compliances? What could be the spirit? Why they are so strict?
The reason which I think, friends, is that there have been cases where charities have been used as a medium of tax avoidance. And this information is all in public domain, I can tell you. You can also find information like this. And if I remember, there used to be section 35AC. 35AC was the section where the income, if you had any income and if you donated it to a 35AC trust, then your entire income was exempt under 35AC. Whether you had business income or non-business income, because in case of business income, one could have claimed deduction under 35AC. In case of non-business income, they could have claimed deduction under section 80 GGC, I think. 80 GGB and 80 GGC, these sections were there. But now what used to happen, friends, these are all public domain, I am saying, that there used to be transactions where you are giving the money to the trust and 50% of is getting reverted back to you. Actually nothing is, charity is not happening. This was happening. Similarly, in the case of charities who has taken exemption under section 12A, and they are, when you are given exemption under 12A, friends, we should one can it's a it's a food for thought, that when you are getting 12A registration and you are allowed the nil tax, so therefore government is foregoing the tax it would have earned on the amount of income which you had earned. It is foregoing that. So therefore, to that extent, the money belongs to the government. Suppose out of 100, if 85 rupees you are spending, 15 you are allowed to accumulate. I would say that 15 is really contribution of the government, because it is foregoing the tax which it would have got had it been taxed, which would have been much more than 15. So therefore, lot of cases came, a lot of cases keep on coming, still keep on coming, that in the guise of charity you are doing business. You have taken registration under 12A and what you are doing is nothing less than a business. And therefore, in order to see that the money is actually spent on charity, these government has been tightening the provisions relating to charitable institutions year after year, where they have made that money, it will be allowed only on cash basis, application will be allowed only on cash basis. TDS is to be deducted. If TDS you don't deduct, then it will not be allowed as application. Then there was there are provisions regarding 5-year carry forward of the application by filing form number 10. And that was earlier we used to take it to 7 years also, but now that is 5 years. After 5 years it is no. So these are the, and still money businesses. I think the Supreme Court decision in the case of Ahmedabad Urban Development Authority and New Noble Society, that nailed the coffin, I will say, where Supreme Court in Ahmedabad Urban Development Authority's case had said that when the charity will be deemed to be doing business, and where they gave an example of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, that if you sell the form, examination form for 100 rupees, your cost of form is 4 rupees, then you are doing business. You cannot sell money for 100 rupees. हम लोग बोलते हैं यार 100 तो कुछ नहीं है. They have given examples in the judgment. So, in order to restrict the charities from doing business, and in order to get maximum benefit for the public at large, that the provisions relating to charity are being tightened day by day.
But sir, will not it act as a deterrent for the forthcoming trust to serve with the society, number one? To extend the argument further,
Provisions of NGOs also being tightened, because some of the NGOs are involved in anti-India activity. There is also
I agree, sir. Rightly said.
Ramesh, sir, it is not going to impact this charitable. When you are into genuine charitable purpose, then you are nowhere hurt. And Ramesh has correctly pointed out, and we all are aware how dubious, by dubiously this was being done. Now we have to, I would say that we must go according to the tide. वो जो अपने कहावत है चूहे हज कर लीजिए, तो अब हज करने का समय आ गया है. Let us not think that it is not a fair argument when we say that it is going to hamper. When we are into genuine charitable activities, genuine charitable purpose, public welfare purpose, please, if anybody can explain me that how these provisions are going to impact. Nowhere. Simply we may say that the compliance is more. Compliance is more. So sir, we should be happy that compliance is more. If the compliance is more, then only the client will come to us. So why we are complaining about it? Thank you.
Rightly said, compliance is more. You do not have now the luxury of forming the trust, collecting the donation and going to sleep. You have to follow the law which is pronounced. And as far as the government has tightened the foreign donations. Basically, foreign donations were coming for disturbing the integrity and sovereignty of India, which has been tightened, and now as far as FCRA is concerned, there is now, it is very difficult to get FCRA, number one. Number two, even if you get, there is a State Bank of India Parliament branch, which is the dedicated branch for receiving all FCRA donation. That matter was challenged before the Supreme Court that you cannot restrict me to receive donation in any branch. But Supreme Court said nothing doing. Government has done it. Yeah, if you want to receive FCRA, it has to be channelized only through State Bank of India Parliament branch. That will be the sole bank which will open the account of FCRA. So these are all tightening the provisions relating to charity. And I think, friends, all over the world I have seen, even in USA there are provisions of 501c, they call it there. All over the world, if you donate, if you give any donation, like in USA there is a provision, I have been told, that if you donate to any charity, government gives equal amount. If you give $100, government will give equally $100 to the institution. That is the law under the US IRS, friends. So, yes, sir.
Can it trust adopt accrual basis of the company or cash basis compulsory?
Trust can adopt a mercantile basis, but application will be allowed only on cash basis. You can very well adopt mercantile, there is no bar. But when you are making your computation, the application has to be considered on cash basis only.
And if I adopt expenses on accrual and income on cash basis, mixed basis, is it allowed?
You can do, I think, but for the purpose of computation, you have to follow what is prescribed under the law. That is, yes. Yes, yes, one day delayed audit report, you should file an application under 119 2B. 119 2B, there is power available with the commissioner to consider cases like this, because I think it will fall within the definition of a reasonable cause. There are cases. So friends, this is as far as charity is concerned. Friends, now after this I will touch upon, since recent legislative aspects are to be considered. I have found that one notification has been issued. Rather, the Income Tax 4th Amendment Rules 2024 has been enacted on 5th of March 2024, that is 3 days ago, where the form number 3CD has been amended. Form number 3CD, which we are auditing for tax audit, there the amendments have been made. The amendments, basically, the purpose of these amendments is they are only cosmetic, so to say. There is one amendment which has been made in the beginning in clause number 8A, where the information is required to be given regarding the claim has been made under 115 BAD, all those sections BAB. So there, since the cooperative society, there was one provision of 115 BAB, that clause they have included here in 8A. Then in clause 21, where there is a requirement to report on the expenditure by way of penalty or fine for violation of law for the timing in force, which is there in section 37, which was amended, I think Finance Act 2023 or 22, where it was expanded. The expenditure incurred for any purpose which is an offence or is prohibited by law, or expenditure by way of penalty or fine for violation of law enacted in India or outside India. Even if it is outside India, that was not covered. Satyam Computers case. Satyam's case, under the US law also they were penalized. And Satyam had remitted, I think, $115 million. So, under the new provisions, that remittance would be considered to be hit by this provision. So, they have amended this clause 21, where whatever was amended in section 37, that has been incorporated in form number 3CD. So now the task of auditor has become very, very onerous. How to find whether it is a penalty for violation of law or not. Recently I was dealing with a case where the late delivery charges was paid. There was a contract with railway, and the contract provided that if you delay the delivery by a particular period, then you have to pay late delivery charges. Now the question arises whether it is penalty or fine for violation of law. And the assessing officer has disallowed. It is hit by 37. So, no, it's a contract, pure case of a contractual liability. That if I am delaying, then I have to pay compensatory in nature. So, but friends, when I park wrongly, I have paid 500 rupees parking fine. Whether it is covered here, whether you will report or not. If you will not report, then NAFRA will come. Now ROC is taking cognizance of small violations, I have been told. So days are not far behind when these things will be, after 10 years, I cannot, I foresee that the parking fine of Calcutta Municipal Corporation will be linked with the income tax servers. and, and in the AIS report will have this information.
Expenses claim करना उसको तो income तो नहीं होगा.
So,
उससे पहले तो हरिद्वार जाना ही better है. Rather than facing that situation, would prefer to go
but
to Haridwar.
but you see nowadays GST and income tax are sharing information on a day-to-day, minute-to-minute basis. Is it not? So, days are not far behind when one software will be there for the whole country. I think there is one app which is giving services, all the government services are available in that app. There is one app, I have also tried once. So, digitalization, there is no end. Though we are reaping benefits also, friends, I must admit. We have been receiving nil addition orders even after a so-called notice where, say, addition of 5 crores have been proposed. Or we have been receiving refunds with interest in our bank account directly. These are all benefits of digitalization. But the other side is this. So therefore, as I think Uday Kotak Mahindra chairman, he also 2-3 days ago, he had a genuine, I think, sympathy for the chartered accountants, that they are not being, they are at the receiving end, and NAFRA taking cognizance of these things. So friends, in the light of that, form number 3CD is virtually onerous task. If one has to do tax audit, it is a Herculean task in my opinion, because the way the form number 3CD has been amended to take cognizance of every and to the top of it, when form number 3CD gives anything which is of benefit to the assessing officer, he will rely on form 3CD. But when anything which is of benefit to the assessee, he will say, I will not rely. This is fact. We should not be. If you are relying on form 3CD, rely totally or do not rely. Otherwise, why do you want form 3CD at all? That is practical problem is there, friends. So this income tax 4th amendment rules 2024, this has been notified, and so most probably when the audit for the year 2024 March will have this amendments incorporated in form number 3CD whenever it is done. That is it, friends. Now let me deal with few decisions, including I think the issue regarding the 148, which is the as lively issue as 43B, and it is as of now also the issue is not settled by Supreme Court insofar as 2013-14 and 14-15 assessment year is concerned. Because 2013-14, 14-15, we had positive decisions from other courts of the country. Though Calcutta High Court did not pronounce its judgment until the judgment was pronounced by Justice Nizamuddin in the case of Aarti Marketing Private Limited versus Union of India, when Justice Nizamuddin has upheld and that on the 9th of February 2024, when the notices for the assessment year 2013-14 and 2014-15 have been quashed as barred by limitation. And obviously this is not the final word on this matter, because Supreme Court is seized of this issue insofar as 13-14 and 14-15 are concerned. Insofar as 15-16 and other years are concerned, the issue is before the Honorable Calcutta High Court again in different cases, and that those cases will be dealt with on individual basis, because these were the combined issue which has been pronounced in all the cases by a single order. And there is one more order, because this is the Aarti Marketing's case was in original side matters. In the appellate side matter, there is another judgment. So this issue, as far as Calcutta SSCs are concerned, it is now settled issue. There are a lot of people who were sitting on the fences. They had not done anything. In one of the cases which recently came to me, where the SSC had was served with the order for assessment year 2013-14 in the month of July 2023, and he did not do anything. He was sitting with that order. So he asked me, what should I do now in the light of the orders which have been pronounced now? Whether I should, these orders, this order will survive or what will happen? So I think in situations like this, one can approach the Calcutta High Court, and Calcutta High Court, based on its own order, will definitely quash those orders which have been pronounced in so far as 13-14 and 14-15 are concerned. Otherwise, if one does not want to go in writ, then one can file an appeal, even though it may be a belated appeal with condonation of delay, and the CIT will have, cannot do anything but to allow the appeal based on the order which has been pronounced, because the Calcutta High Court order is binding on the CIT appeal as well as the jurisdictional income tax appellate tribunal, friends. Now, friends, in reassessment cases, 148A, which provision was introduced in the statute book in order to do away with the litigation. That was the purpose when the provisions were introduced from 1/4/2021. That instead of the earlier law, where the notices under section 148 used to be issued first, followed by the objections from the SSCs, followed by order on objections from the department, followed by writ petition under Article 226, in view of decision of Honorable Supreme Court in the case of GK and DriveServe 259 ITR, page 19. This was the earlier law. So you were first visited with 148, and government said that, look, we do not want to serve the notice initially. We want to give you time to study. We want to give you the material on which, based on which we will be issuing the notices, so that you can respond to them, and thereafter, if we feel, we will issue the notice under section 148, or order under section 148 AD will be passed, and simultaneously the notice under section 148 will be issued. This was the mandate. This was given in the memorandum which was given in support of the legislation, friends. However, friends, the way notices are being issued under section 148A subclause B, it has become as if it is another scrutiny. 143(2) is required to be issued within a prescribed time limit if you want to scrutinize, and if you have missed the bus of issuing 143(2), then the only options available with you were 148 of the Income Tax Act. But that too, it was not easy. Reason to believe. Even if it was 143 one case, there also reason to believe was applicable. There are cases. But friends, now what is happening is that information is uploaded on the Insight portal. Nobody, I think, if anybody knows what this Insight portal is, what is the What is the website address of inside portal? I have not got that. Information is uploaded on the inside portal, and you are given one inside portal page where it is written that information is been uploaded by this and this officer. This is the upload ID. This is the date on which uploaded, and when that information has been downloaded by the officer, that is being given to you, and based on that you are issued the notice under section 148 AB of the Income Tax Act. This is happening in most of the cases, which is absolutely illegal, absolutely against the law laid down by this Honorable Calcutta High Court in the case of SWAL Limited, which was pronounced by Justice Sivanganam, who is Chief Justice of Calcutta High Court, where in SWAL Limited's case, friends, Justice Sivanganam has dealt with the comparison of the old law as well as new law. The judgment says that even though the law has been amended from 1/4/21, but it cannot be said that it has done away with the concept which was given by the Honorable Supreme Court in GK and Drive Shaft's case. Reason to believe. When you are issuing me a notice under section 148A subclause B, it means that you have information which suggests that income chargeable to tax in my case has escaped assessment. Information which suggests, they have made the word which suggests. So therefore, before you can say that information suggests that income chargeable to tax in my case has escaped assessment, it must be the notice which is issued to me and the document relied upon which are issued to me must be the information, and from that information itself one should be able to get that what is the, how that information suggests that income is chargeable to tax in my case and it has escaped assessment. But the officers are issuing notice under section 148A(b). I am stressing on B because what is the correct procedure is one has to issue the notice first under section subclause A. 148A, if you read the section 148A, heading of the section is conducting inquiry, providing opportunity before issue of notice under section 148. And the section I am reading, assessing officer shall, before issuing any notice under section 148, subclause A says, conduct any inquiry if required with the prior approval of the specified authority. So for inquiry also he has to take approval of a specified authority which is given in section 151. With respect to the information which suggests that the income chargeable to tax has escaped assessment. So therefore, when a DDIT or ADIT or any officer in the country has uploaded an information on the inside portal, he is first supposed to conduct an inquiry under subclause A. And only after having conducted such inquiry that he is supposed to issue me the notice under section B. Subclause B notice can be issued only after that, not before that. But most of the cases, 148A subclause A is not complied with. He is directly issuing B, which is illegal. SWAL Limited, Sivanganam, Justice Sivanganam decision can be relied upon.
Sir, how will we come to know whether he is adhered to 148A or not? As an SSC, how will I come to know?
Because when he has issued you directly B, and on the basis of B, a prudent person cannot arrive at a conclusion that this information suggests that income chargeable to tax has escaped assessment. then we have to say that you have come directly jump to B instead of A. So please follow A first. You cannot jump to B directly. If you have jumped to B, because you see, in Hindustan Liver's case, 232 ITR, Bombay High Court has very good judgment, where Bombay High Court said that there has to be a live link between the reasons which are recorded and the reassessment, income escaping assessment. There has to be a live link. So that live link concept is still valid. There has to be a live link between the information and the suggestion that income chargeable to tax has escaped assessment. And we have dealt with cases where in one case, which I am still, we are handling, where the assessing officer says that research was conducted at XYZ at Jammu and Kashmir. I am telling you a live case. Search was conducted at XYZ Jammu and Kashmir, and during the course of search, it has been found that you have made purchases from that party worth 1.57 crores. Exact amount I am telling you. And this is the date, these are the dates. Therefore, and this party is a bogus, they have admitted that it's a bogus company. Therefore, your income chargeable to tax has escaped assessment. Now, when I see my transactions, I never had any transaction with a party like that. I have got 2 bank accounts. I have searched my entire bank account. I have not made any payment for the purchases which he is alleging. So therefore, what do? I have replied that look, I have not made any such transaction at all. In support of my contention, I am giving you my audited balance sheet. I am giving you my bank statement for 2 bank for the full financial year, from which it can be seen that there are no transactions like this. And I am completely denying that I have done anything like this. So therefore, you have not done inquiry properly. You have issued me 148 AB first instead of A. You should have first issued to me notice under A, and thereafter, once you were sure that I have made such transactions, then you could have come to B, which you have not done. And to the top of it, I am asking him that in support of whatever you are saying, you please give me evidence of that. Simply, your writing in 148 AB notice with annexure is not an information. You have to give me the source of the information with the exact information. When you are saying that I have made this transaction with of payment and I have made this payment, then it is your responsibility, the onus lies on you to prove that I have done this transaction. Section 106 of the Evidence Act. Section 106 of the Evidence Act will come into play. When a person alleges a fact, then the onus is on that person to allege that the fact is true. I cannot prove that I have not made this transaction. I cannot be, the law does not ask you to prove impossible. Can you prove that I have not made this transaction? He has to prove that I have made this transaction, then I will prove that what it is all about. So friends, but he has not yet replied. I am waiting for the reply in this situation. And most probably, he will not reply. Because he doesn't have the reply. He has been given one information on the inside portal, and that information he has copied and pasted and issued the notice.
Speaker, sir, I agree. Now, when we say that information is there on the inside portal, and subsection A says that he has to inquire if required. Now, inside portal is my departmental portal. My colleague has uploaded information there. So I rely on that. And if I take this plea, such a statement, I come across this case. When I take this plea, that you see, I need not inquire because that information is already on the portal. Now, as you have said, correctly said that there are on number of occasions there are mismatch or wrong information. So you reply that yes, it is correct or not. And you have said that no, we haven't made any transaction from our books of accounts, from our records, from our bank transactions, everything. We satisfy that and that is okay. But I was specifically told that I need not inquire because it is in my inside portal and that is information is from my colleague. So I rely on that. How far that argument is?
I am telling you. CBDT itself has issued one circular. CBDT itself has issued one circular that information is regularly uploaded on the inside portal. But that does not mean that information is correct. And the assessing officer is requested to verify the information before acting under section 148A. CBDT itself has issued one circular 14th August 2022 most probably. So, simply because, yes sir.
If required is also to be read because there is a proviso that under the following circumstances 148A need not be followed. If required should be read with reference to that thing.
सर उन्होंने उसी पे दिया बोले मेरे पोर्टल में है
नहीं सर आपके पोर्टल में है इसका माने ये नहीं कि भगवान शंकर के मुंह से निकला हुआ है
giving you a clue to investigate, but without investigating and inquiring, that does not become a information. Information has to be concrete.
Also, whether it leads to income escapement.
Information which suggests.
उन्होंने सर इसीलिए उन्होंने ये कहा कि आप बोल दीजिए कि ये हमारा ट्रांजैक्शन नहीं है खत्म हो
There
गया
are two things. One, earlier it was reasons to believe. Now it is information suggesting escapement of income. So information suggesting escapement should be concrete and foolproof information.
उसमें उन्होंने कहा कि हमारे कलीग ने डाला हुआ है तो आप बोले जवाब दे दीजिए
कलीग से बात करो.
आपका कलीग ने डाला है तो आपको चेक करना होगा कि आपके कलीग ने सही डाला है कि नहीं डाला है. ये मैं नहीं बोल रहा हूँ, ये सीबीडीटी का सर्कुलर बोल रहा है. तो आप सर्कुलर को फॉलो करना इज बाइंडिंग ऑन यू. इफ यू डू नॉट फॉलो द सर्कुलर यू आर वायलेटिंग द लॉ. Yes to. So friends, this is practically, this is happening. 148AB notices are being regularly issued to the SSCs, but I would say nothing to worry. You have to properly respond to such notices, that the information must really suggest that income has escaped assessment, otherwise you do not have jurisdiction to issue notice under section 148AB of the Act. This is the new law in a nutshell, and if it is followed in letter and spirit, then lot of reassessment notices under section 148AB which are being issued will not be issued. One more thing let me tell you. This is again a live example that is dealing with 148AD. 148AB के बाद क्या होता है? 148AD का ऑर्डर पास होता है. 148AB का नोटिस इशू किया आपको, आपने रिप्लाई दे दिया. रिप्लाई देने के बाद आपने अगर अपॉर्चुनिटी ऑफ हियरिंग मांगा, पर्सनल हियरिंग मांगा, वो भी पर्सनल हियरिंग यू शुड आस्क डेफिनेटली. पर्सनल हियरिंग इफ यू आस्क दे विल गिव. और अभी तो एबी जजमेंट आ गया है, इवन इफ यू डू नॉट आस्क दे हैव टू गिव. सो उसके बाद 148AD का ऑर्डर पास होता है. 148AD का ऑर्डर पास होता है विद द अप्रूवल ऑफ द स्पेसिफाइड अथॉरिटी विच इज गिवन इन सेक्शन 151 ऑफ द इनकम टैक्स एक्ट, where 3 year and 10 year time, if it is up to 3 year then authority is lower, beyond 3 year it is higher authority, and the authorities are higher in rank as compared to the earlier 151, in order to make it a more serious kind of a, because the courts have said that issuing 148 is a invasion on your freedom. You cannot take it lightly that you are, instead of 143(2), if you have missed the bus to issue 143(2), you cannot think that I will 10 years तक तो मैं 148 कर सकता हूँ. So 148AD, friends, what has happened? The order under section 148AD has been passed in my case. In the order under section 148 AD, the assessing officer says that I have made bogus purchases of this amount. He initiated the proceedings on account of 5 items, where 4 items were related to TDS non-deduction and 1 item was related to bogus purchases. Time hai na? So, bogus purchases. So, I gave my reply. On 4 items, he was convinced. He writes that I am convinced on the submissions of the SSC that it is okay. But I am not convinced on the 5th item, which is bogus purchases, even though I have given everything. Okay, well and he passes the order and he says it has been passed with the approval of the competent authority. Now he erroneously attaches the order of the competent authority with the order. 151 का जो ऑर्डर है वो देने के लिए बाउंड है वो लोग, देते नहीं है, हालांकि नहीं मांगो तो मांगने से भी नहीं देते हैं, देने के लिए बाउंड है. तो he has given order under section 151 with in my case. 151 के ऑर्डर में the competent authority has allowed reassessment notice to be order to be passed on the 4 issue which he has dropped and not discussed anything about the 5th issue on which he has passed the order. So, friends, and to the माने litigation friends, अपने हमरे लिए तो sir says कि यहाँ professionals के लिए अच्छा है. तो we have challenged the order in Calcutta High Court. Calcutta High Court, single bench we lost. Single bench we lost. Division bench, Justice Sivanganam understood that then Justice Sivanganam has now given instructions that you please take, Justice Sivanganam has given instruction to the department council that please take instructions from the department, your officer, that he sought approval on which points. Now he will be in a catch-22. If he says that I have sought approval on 4 points, then that ends the matter. If he says that I sought approval on 5 points, 5th point is not given. So, he is in a catch-22. And I know the outcome of that judgment, that the order will have to be quashed. Nothing they can do. So friends, these things are happening. Order notice under section 148 A, B and order under section 148 AD and notice under section 148. Another controversy which is crippling the community professionals as well as the SSCs is whether it is now 3 years or 10 years or 6 years, what is this? Whether one can open the SSC's case for 10 years also now, which in my opinion the proviso to section 149 clearly says that if the notice under section 148 could have been issued in respect of assessment year 2021, 22 and earlier years, on the date on which the notice is being issued, then the earlier law will apply. So suppose on today if I am issuing a notice which is related to assessment year 2021, 22 and earlier years, then if on this date, today's date, the notice could have been issued under the earlier law, then only the notice can be issued, not otherwise. Whether it is 3 year, 10 year, but lot of department is taking a view that in such cases they can issue for 10 years. Yes sir. Yes sir, definitely.
I am in respectful disagreement with what has been said now. So far as notices for 21, 22 and earlier years are concerned, if they are issued today, one need to examine whether such notice could have been issued as on 1/4/21. If they could be issued on 1/4/21, they could be issued today. If they could not have been issued on 1/4/21, they cannot be issued today. So this problem will continue till assessment year 28-29. 28 मार्च तक चलेगा, 21-22 का 6 साल, 31-3-28 को खत्म होता है, तो 28 मार्च तक ये कंट्रोवर्सी चलेगा.
Yes, ये चलेगा. This also needs to be settled sometime, but for 21, 22 and earlier years, in my submission, 6 years criteria will still apply, whether you issue at any time. For the 22, 23 onwards, that 10-year window will become applicable. That is the position, friends. So that's it. And before I wind up my discussion, I would give you one more latest decision of Calcutta High Court only in the case of PCIT versus Alisan Steels, where the issue involved was whether section 68 can be applied cash credit when the transaction is by way of a book entry, when there is no actual cash involved. In that case, Calcutta High Court has followed its own judgment, earlier judgment, and held that no, section 68 dealing with cash credit cannot be applied when there is no cash transaction. It is only a book entry, and by way of a book entry, shares are issued at a premium or whatever may be. In that case, it cannot be done. That's it, friends, from me. I can take any questions now.
Any question?
Sir, in 148A notice, the alleged escape income is more than 50 lakhs, but in the final order, the alleged the added income is less than 50 lakhs.
In such a situation, I think if the alleged income,
In 148A,
one has to see whether the benefit of that more than 50 lakhs was taken, the notice was issued only by alleging the amount to be more than 50 lakhs only in order to bypass the limitation. If that is if you can prove that the only purpose of writing the amount to be more than 50 lakhs is to bypass the limitation, otherwise it was 50 lakhs at that time also when the notice was issued, then I would challenge this notice that it is barred by limitation. But it may happen that assessing officer has computed the amount to be say 50 lakhs, 51 lakhs, but finally it is determined to be 49 lakhs. In such a situation, I think he is on the right side of the, yes. Then the notice would be valid. You have to see the factual aspects in this case, in my opinion. Yes, e-verification scheme, lot of notices are now being issued, where say in one of the cases I had the occasion to deal with, where I am a trustee of a trust, and these trusts are receiving these notices, where the income was declared on the accrual basis. At that time, accrual basis, even now you can declare income on accrual, only expenditure is on cash basis. So interest was declared on accrual basis, on the basis of, interest was declared on receipt basis, because the trust was following receipt cash basis. So it received the amount of interest which is 2.53 crores in that case, in the year of maturity. Say 5-year FD was there, in the year of maturity it received 2.53 crores. But the income was, this 2.53 crores was declared by the trust in, no, it was not declared. It was declared in the year in which it was received. Though the bankers have deducted TDS based on their accrual concept each year, because bank will follow its own method of accounting and it will deduct the tax at source. So on that basis, I have been issued notice that you can file updated return under section 139 8A of the, they are suggesting, they are sending this email to all the SSCs like this. And in situations like this, the e-verification scheme, it is there. I have not read in detail what this scheme is all about. But I think in a situation like this, if you have followed the method of accounting correctly and declared your income correctly, then I think you should respond to that I have nothing to declare. My accounts are maintained in this basis. Or as and when, they have also said that you will get communication from the assessing officer in due course regarding this. So as and when you are issued any further communication, then you have to explain that this amount is duly reflected in my returns which I have filed for various assessment years. That proof if you give, then there is no case for filing any updated return. But if you have forgotten, if really there is a case, then updated return within 24 months as per 139(8)(a can be filed.
In many cases, there is no reconnection fact.
No?
No reconnection fact. But some purchase or other transactions are there. Due to those transactions, e-verification scheme has been taken and notices have been issued that you have made so and so transaction and you have not filed any return. So now you have to file the return or you have to explain. Like say a farmer or any person is there who is having some property and he has purchased or sold the property and it's only capital in nature. So there is no return required to file. In those cases,
सर भैया AIS से ये लोग इंफॉर्मेशन ले रहे हैं, अगर आपके रिटर्न से मैच नहीं होता है तो ये
You see, updated.
ये तो capital issue है ना, माने capital.
So in such a situation, you cannot file a updated return because without tax जो है कुछ वो updated return लेगा नहीं. So you have to then explain only. And even in spite of this, if they insist, then they have to issue 148.
So they will issue 148 or they will be going to 148A.
148A of course.
पहले तो यही आएगा.
Directly 148 तो आ नहीं सकता है.
अभी ई-वेरिफिकेशन स्कीम के अंदर मैंने जो देखा है इसके अंदर में एक को दिया हुआ 152B या 252B के अंदर में जब जाता है जो ई-वेरिफिकेशन स्कीम जो है तो उसके बाद में वेरिफिकेशन बाद डायरेक्ट 148 करेगा.
डायरेक्ट 148 तो कर नहीं सकता. 148A के थ्रू ही जाना होगा. 148 का इशू नहीं जा सकता.
जैसे एक केस में क्या हुआ कि एसएससी ने डिविडेंड को नॉन डिविडेंड कॉलम में लिख दिया. अब क्या सिचुएशन तो करेक्ट है, देयर इज नो नीड टू रिवाइज रिटर्न. इसमें यू वेरिफिकेशन देयर इज लिमिटेड क्वेश्चन, लिमिटेड रिस्पांसेस. तो क्या करे समझ नहीं आया.
डिविडेंड को कहाँ लिख दिया?
अदर सोर्सेज में डिविडेंड को डिविडेंड लाइन में नहीं लिख के अदर्स में लिख दिया.
हाँ, so then you have to explain that there is no.
हां, ई वेरिफिकेशन कोई जगह नहीं है. फिर जब 148 आएगा तभी
नहीं 148 नहीं, they will still, the assessing officer will give an opportunity to explain. Yes. Before issuing you the notice, or even if he issues a notice under 148A, then you can explain. And if he issues directly subclause B, then you have to say, please give me 148A first.
प्लीज अप्लाई मत.
Any other question? Panoja ji, we had a very great session. We had a very great session. And after Gupta's session, the session was very lively with Patudaji also. First session was wonderful with section 43BH, and now the second session, it was also given insight to the areas which were very much needed, and we actually were looking after, because trust were actually facing many issues. And those issues, even we chartered accountants are not in a position to provide many details. So after listening to Patudia ji, we are now in a position to provide more details. So thank you, Patudia ji. Thank you, Tapuria ji also. Now we disperse for that.